Yao Wenhao, since you've seen us, we'll head to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Heavy rain poured down, washing away Yao Wenhao's tears. Staring at his wife Tang Yuqiao and their 10-year-old son, Yao Xiaoyu, standing before him, his heart felt as though it was being torn apart. Tang Yuqiao, I'll agree to the divorce, but you have to give me custody of our son. Otherwise, I will never sign those papers. To his surprise, Tang Yuqiao let out a faint, cold laugh. Yao Wenhao, you're far too naive. You think you can claim the boy? Take a good look. Does Xiaoyu share even a single feature with you? I might as well tell you the truth. Xiaoyu isn't your son at all. She never finished her sentence. From the black Mercedes parked behind her, a man slowly stepped out. He wore a tailored suit and possessed handsome features, clearly a wealthy young heir. More notably, there was a striking resemblance between his facial features and those of the young boy. Seeing this scene, Yao Wenhao understood everything. The child he had raised for an entire decade might not be his biological son. It struck him like a bolt from the blue. His legs grew weak, and he nearly crumpled to the ground. Protected by an umbrella held by a bodyguard, the man walked over to Tang Yuqiao, a mocking smile playing across his face as he looked at Yao Wenhao. Yao Wenhao, thank you for raising my son for 10 years. Rest assured, I won't leave you without compensation. With that, he pulled a stack of cash from his pocket and tossed it onto the ground right at Yao Wenhao's feet. 10,000 yuan. Consider this your settlement. The gesture was nothing short of scorn. Rage blazed within Yao Wenhao, his eyes bloodshot. You too. I'll make you pay for this. He clenched his fist and charged toward the man. Yet before he could reach him, 2 bodyguards rushed forward. They knocked Yao Wenhao to the ground and rained kicks and punches down on his body. Blows slammed relentlessly into him, and his consciousness slowly began to fade. He turned his gaze toward Tang Yuqiao beneath the umbrella. There was not an ounce of sympathy or pity in her eyes, only undisguised disdain. What hurt him even more was the reaction of Yao Xiaoyu, the boy who had called him father for 10 years. The child clapped his hands excitedly. Keep hitting him. Beat him badly, Uncle Chun. Last time he hit my palm because I didn't finish my homework. The physical agony Yao Wenhao endured paled in comparison to the agony tearing through his heart. Even if Xiaoyu was not his biological child, at this moment he fully realized the truth. For 10 years, he had poured all his effort and affection into this mother and son, and this was what he received in return. He lost track of how much time passed before the man ordered his men to stop. He looked down at Yao Wenhao and spoke coldly. If you refuse to divorce my wife tomorrow, what you suffer then will be 10 times worse than what you endure today. After saying that, he led everyone back into the vehicle and drove away. Neither Tang Yuqiao nor Yao Xiaoyu spared him a single glance as they left. Yao Wenhao lay sprawled on the soaking pavement. The downpour soaked him from head to toe, yet it could never wash away the humiliation, despair, and anger weighing heavy on his soul. Eventually, he laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. This heavy rain had been falling nonstop for half a month. The county where Yao Wenhao lived stood on higher ground and remained largely unaffected. But reports came from low-lying areas that floodwaters had submerged buildings up to the 2nd or even 3rd floor. Tang Yuqiao had gone out with Yao Xiaoyu, and her phone remained unreachable. Worried about them, Yao Wenhao had set out to search. He never imagined he would find Tang Yuqiao and the boy together with another man. The 3 moved with obvious closeness, looking every bit like a genuine family unit. Yao Wenhao felt overcome with despair. As more onlookers gathered around him, a mechanical voice suddenly echoed inside his head. The apocalyptic flood is imminent. Host, the Doomsday Arc system is activating. Binding in progress. Please wait. Yao Wenhao froze and jerked upright. He glanced wildly left and right, trying to locate the source of the voice. The voice sounded again. Congratulations, host. The Arc system binding is complete. Shock washed over him. The voice had not come from anyone around him. It had originated directly inside his mind. Apocalyptic flood? Arc system? What is this? The mechanical tone resonated in his thoughts once more. There is no need for doubt. You have been chosen as the system's host. The system will assist you in surviving this catastrophic flood. Simply close your eyes and mentally will yourself to enter the system, and your consciousness may access it. Without hesitation, Yao Wenhao shut his eyes and repeated the thought, enter the system. In an instant, it felt as though his consciousness separated from his body. He stood amid endless darkness, confronted by a glowing blue panel. 4 large characters were displayed at the top, Arc System. Beneath them was the system introduction. The Arc System integrates spatial storage, rebate, and exchange functions. Your initial vessel is a small wooden boat. If you invite women aboard, the boat will continuously upgrade. No matter how large the vessel grows, it will never sink, even amid the fiercest floodwaters. The spatial storage function allows you to stockpile supplies. Every vessel upgrade expands the available storage space. The rebate system activates when you provide supplies to women on board. The base rebate multiplier is fivefold, which increases alongside vessel upgrades. The exchange system also ties into vessel advancement. More goods will become available for exchange as your boat improves. After absorbing all this information, Yao Wenhao gasped aloud. Have I really awakened a system? He opened his eyes. Dozens of onlookers surrounded him, watching his strange behavior and assuming he had lost his mind from shock. Yao Wenhao paid them no mind. System, when will the flood arrive? The system replied instantly. At this exact time tomorrow. Yao Wenhao was stunned. Then I must start stockpiling supplies immediately? Correct. Though the rebate system offers advantages, you must first possess goods to distribute to trigger rebates. You may start with basic provisions. Once the exchange shop unlocks further tiers, food will become one of the cheapest commodities available. Having received the answer, Yao Wenhao stood quickly. As he prepared to leave, he spotted the 10,000 yuan the man had thrown on the ground. He bent down and picked it up, gripping the cash tightly. His gaze sharpened. This 10,000 yuan stands for my deepest humiliation. Very well. I will use this money as my foundation to survive the end of the world. With that thought, he pushed through the crowd and hurried toward the nearest supermarket. Upon arriving at the supermarket, Yao Wenhao had clear goals: instant noodles, bread, rice, bottled water, and various types of meat. He pushed a trolley piled full of goods outside, found a secluded spot free of surveillance cameras, and spoke to the system once again. System, how do I move these supplies into storage? The system responded, raise your hand toward the goods and mentally command them to enter the storage space. Yao Wenhao followed the instructions. In the blink of an eye, all the supplies in the trolley vanished, as though pulled into an invisible vortex. He closed his eyes and projected his consciousness into the system storage. The space resembled a shipping container. All the groceries he had just purchased sat neatly stacked in one corner. At one end of the container rested the small wooden boat mentioned by the system, paired with 2 oars. The boat measured roughly 3 meters long and less than 1 meter wide. This must be the initial vessel. Yao Wenhao's excitement surged. He opened his eyes and focused his mind. Retrieve 1 carton of instant noodles. Immediately, a carton materialized in his hands out of thin air. His heart raced wildly, as if trapped inside a dream. If the catastrophic flood truly came, this system would grant him the means to survive the apocalypse. Yao Wenhao did not pause to rest. He rushed between supermarket after supermarket. Once the 10,000 yuan was spent, he emptied all his personal savings as well. When he next checked the system storage, the container-sized space was filled to capacity. Satisfied, he headed home. Night had fallen, and the rain outside grew even heavier. He stared at the empty apartment. Memories of his wife and son drifted through his mind, yet he was now utterly alone. He glanced at the wedding photograph above the bedside table, a bitter reminder of everything that had happened. Anger welled up inside him. He grabbed a mug and hurled it, shattering the frame to pieces. His chest heaved with emotion. After a long while, a faint smile tugged at his lips. Tang Yuqiao, mark my words. The end is nearly here. Stay alive for me. I want to watch how you struggle to survive without me. Regaining his focus, he addressed the system once more. System, you said the catastrophic flood will strike tomorrow. Should I seek shelter on higher ground in advance? The system answered, that will not be necessary. The floor you reside on will remain safe when the flood arrives. Yao Wenhao pondered the question further. How long will this apocalyptic flood last? The system's response filled him with alarm. The flood's duration cannot be determined, yet it will completely reshape Earth's ecosystem. You mean, even for those lucky enough to survive, humanity will be forced to live on water from now on? The system continued. Precisely. If the floodwaters ever recede and dry land emerges once more, centuries will have passed by then. Yao Wenhao was utterly dumbfounded. If that was the case, perhaps with this newly awakened system, he truly had the potential to become humanity's savior. He barely slept that night. His thoughts alternated between the approaching flood and the cold, unfeeling stares of Tang Yuqiao and Yao Xiaoyu. 10 years of companionship could not be erased in an instant. Dawn broke amid the roar of heavy rain, and he finally drifted off to sleep. It was not long before the ringing of his mobile phone jolted him awake. He glanced at the screen. The caller was Tang Yuqiao. He knew she was calling to press him about the divorce. As soon as he answered, her sharp voice came through the speaker. Yao Wenhao, I have no time to waste. We are getting divorced today. Be at the Civil Affairs Bureau by 10 o'clock. If you fail to show up, don't expect mercy from my partner. Even after everything he had prepared, hearing her ruthless words felt like a knife twisting in his chest, threatening to overwhelm him. Before he could reply, the system warning echoed repeatedly inside his mind. Warning to host. The apocalyptic flood is approaching. Please make final preparations. The alert sent Yao Wenhao's heart racing. He sprang to his feet and rushed to the window. The scene that unfolded before his eyes filled him with horror, making his whole body tremble. Tang Yuqiao received no response and kept shouting angrily over the phone. Say something. Have you lost your voice? Yao Wenhao, don't think you can keep pestering me. Let me warn you. Xiao Yu's biological father is far more powerful than you could ever hope to contend with. Answer me, Yao Wenhao. After a lengthy pause, a cold smirk spread across his face as he spoke to the furious woman on the other end of the line. Tang Yuqiao, the end of the world has come. Make sure you stay alive. Don't die too quickly. Tang Yuqiao could not comprehend his words. What are you talking about? Yao Wenhao ignored her and ended the call. His gaze remained fixed firmly on the window. From the valleys between distant mountains, muddy yellow floodwaters surged forward like giant serpents, charging toward the city. Mature trees were torn out of the earth and swept away in the current. Heavy lead gray clouds hung low overhead. Since daybreak, the entire city had been shrouded in damp gray mist. The weeks of relentless torrential rain had unleashed nature's pent-up fury at last. A wall of water dozens of meters high crashed forward, carrying uprooted street trees, broken concrete, wrecked boats, and thick silt. It rolled toward the urban center like an avalanche. Murky brown water blocked out the horizon. Thick fog blocked all sunlight, plunging the world into gloom. The low, thunderous roar of rushing floodwater drowned out every other sound in the city. Eventually, a resident spotted the impending disaster, threw open a window, and screamed, "Look, the great flood is coming." Windows on apartment blocks and commercial buildings flew open one after another. God, the flood is here. What do we do? Will our building hold? Hurry, head for the rooftop. Chaos erupted across the city. Raw panic, the hallmark of an impending apocalypse, swept through every street. The commercial districts bore the first brunt of the disaster, defenseless against the tide. The first wave smashed through floor-to-ceiling glass shop fronts. Churning water rushed into every store. Private vehicles left in open parking lots were tossed about like plastic toys, stacking and spinning in the current. Headlights flickered dimly beneath the murky surface before vanishing entirely. The riverside promenade disappeared within seconds. Stone railings snapped like dry twigs and were dragged away by the raging current. The water level rose at an alarming, visible pace, swallowing streets whole. Major thoroughfares quickly filled with brown floodwater. The current carried rubble and debris everywhere. Manhole covers were blasted upward by water pressure, sending jets of water shooting skyward before crashing back down. The low-lying old town succumbed first. Water pressure burst doors and windows on the ground floors of older apartment buildings. Floodwater surged into hallways, swirling around furniture and household belongings, sweeping items out through broken windows to drift on the surface. When the second wave crashed forward, the city's defenses collapsed completely. Water covered pavements, greenbelts, and bus stops, climbing to the second-floor windows of shops before spreading across entire neighborhoods. People abandoned bags, electric scooters, and children's toys, screaming as they ran toward higher ground. The scrape of shoes on concrete, cries, shouts, and curses filled the rain. Yet human speed meant nothing against the unstoppable flood. The first surge of muddy water rushed into the streets. Within moments, the water reached waist height, trapping everyone on foot. Floating rocks and broken branches slammed into legs with brutal force, tearing open skin. People lost their balance instantly. Those who failed to stand firm were swept sideways by the current. Some clung desperately to street trees, knuckles white as they gripped the bark. Soil loosened around the roots. Within seconds, tree and person alike were dragged away, swallowed by the muddy waves. A family of 4 attempting to escape became separated by the flood. The mother stretched out her hand, almost touching her child's fingertips before the current pulled them apart. Frigid, silt-laden water flooded mouths and nostrils. Thick mud clogged throats, bringing suffocation. Victims could not swim freely. Hidden under the surface were whirlpools, exposed steel bars, and wrecked car frames, which sliced deep gashes into anyone swept past. One person was struck hard in the back by a floating car bumper. The sickening crack of breaking bones was lost beneath the roar of the water, and the body sank limply below. Dozens of pedestrians trapped at a low intersection faced the full force of the second wave. The impact hit like a collision with a heavy truck. A line of people were thrown through the air like scraps of paper, slammed against building walls before sliding back down into the swirling water. Adults wearing thick coats struggled to stay afloat, yet the elderly and young children possessed no strength to resist. They vanished beneath the waves at once. Only a small hand or a colorful hat briefly floated on the surface before disappearing forever. The flood showed no mercy. Survivors drained of strength slowly stopped struggling, their bodies drifting across the water. The world belonged only to the endless roar of the current, and scattered cries faded into silence. The living voices of this city were being erased by the flood bit by bit. The water did not stop. Wave after wave pushed deeper into the inner city, the water level climbing steadily, submerging windows on the third and fourth floors. The water's surface was covered in foam, garbage, and broken branches. Occasionally, exhausted birds fell into the water and were pulled under by hidden currents. Those who remained alive finally understood their predicament and scrambled toward building rooftops. Weeping, shouting, and screaming echoed everywhere. This once prosperous metropolis was slowly, thoroughly being swallowed by endless floodwater. The lower levels of steel-framed office buildings could not withstand continuous water pressure. Exterior tiles peeled off in sheets, glass facades shattered, and water climbed upward through ventilation shafts and fire escape corridors. The bang of water slamming against metal doors echoed through the stairwells. A massive splash from a towering wave crashed against Yao Wenhao's window, jolting him back to his senses. What he saw next filled him with horror once more. The floodwater had already risen to the 9th floor. He lived on the 10th. Occasionally, he spotted figures in the muddy current, bodies slammed against building walls, lifeless in an instant. In this moment, humanity no longer made the rules. People were nothing more than tiny specks before the power of nature. The surviving residents of the city crowded onto the rooftops of every tall building. I'm terrified. My parents live in a low-lying area. Their homes must be underwater. My boyfriend, too. His office is on the 5th floor. I don't know if he survived. We're stuck up here with no food. We're doomed sooner or later. Yao Wenhao finally snapped back to reality as he watched the floodwaters creep up to the 10th floor. The apocalyptic scene struck him with overwhelming force. Even though he knew the end of the world was coming, witnessing it firsthand left anyone shaken. The flood continued to rise, and it was only a matter of time before the entire city was submerged. Yao Wenhao understood clearly that if he wanted to survive this flood apocalypse, he could only rely on his system to continuously upgrade his boat. Without further hesitation, he pulled the small wooden boat out of his storage space. He slowly pushed the boat out the window into the raging floodwaters, then climbed out through the window and jumped straight into the craft. The wooden boat swayed violently for a moment before stabilizing. Yao Wenhao had harbored some worries at first, but as he shifted his weight, he was amazed to see the boat deftly ride out every surge of floodwater, deflecting each wave with effortless ease, as if performing a carefully balanced Tai Chi movement against the current. Feeling the stability of the boat that the system claimed would never sink, excitement surged through him. He gripped the oar and gave one single stroke. The boat glided 3 meters forward, its bow slamming into a wooden stake bobbing in the water. To Yao Wenhao's astonishment, the stake shattered completely on impact. He quickly examined the bow of his boat. There was not a single scratch or mark left on its surface. Ha! The system never lies. Yao Wenhao could not hold back his loud laughter. His shout drew the attention of countless people on rooftops and inside high-rise windows. Everyone stared in shock at the lone man aboard a tiny wooden boat navigating the turbulent flood. That man must be out of his mind. That little boat won't survive a single powerful wave. Exactly, and there's all kinds of debris floating in this flood. He doesn't stand a chance. You see all sorts of weirdos these days. Soon, someone in the crowd recognized Yao Wenhao. Wait a minute, isn't that Yao Wenhao? The guy we saw on the street yesterday who found out his wife cheated on him, and his son wasn't even his. No wonder. He's probably suffered such a terrible blow that he's lost his mind. Makes sense. That tiny boat is a death trap for him. Their voices carried clearly over the pouring rain. Yao Wenhao had no intention of arguing with them. These people still refused to accept that the apocalypse had arrived. If they stayed where they were, death was inevitable. Still, hoping to gain conditions for his boat's upgrade, he called out loudly to the onlookers. Does anyone want to come aboard? This offer only comes once. His words triggered an immediate burst of mocking laughter. Ha! Yao Wenhao, have you lost your senses? No one in their right mind would get on that rickety boat of yours. Yeah, you want to drag us down to die with you. I think you're bitter after what your wife did and want to get revenge on everyone. We're not falling for your trick. A faint smile tugged at Yao Wenhao's lips. Very well. I've made the offer. You chose to turn it down. If you want to wait here for death, so be it. Don't beg me for a spot later. Beg you. Yao Wenhao's remark sparked another roar of laughter from the crowd. Yao Wenhao, are you insane? Do you seriously think any of us would beg to board your tiny boat? Keep dreaming. I'd rather starve to death on this rooftop than step foot on that boat. Get out of here and stop embarrassing yourself. Having you as a neighbor brings shame to this whole building. It was useless trying to persuade people determined to seal their own fate. Yao Wenhao had never planned to take most of them on board anyway. He would only accept women if anyone came aboard. There was no point wasting words. He was about to push off with the or when a voice called out from behind him. Brother Wenhao, wait. Yao Wenhao turned around. It was his neighbor Lu Weiwei. She leaned out of her window, her eyes filled with pleading. Lu Weiwei kept to herself most of the time and rarely socialized. Yao Wenhao and his wife Tang Yuqiao both worked long hours, so Yao Wenhao had asked Lu Weiwei several times to pick up his son Yao Xiaoyu. This small favor formed the foundation of their acquaintance. Lu Weiwei worked as an online streamer. She possessed striking features and a great figure, capable of switching between an innocent and poised aura with ease. She was undeniably beautiful. The moment he saw her, Yao Wenhao hoped she would come aboard. Her presence might trigger another upgrade for his wooden boat. He rowed the boat over to her window. What is it, Weiwei? Lu Weiwei's face was tight with anxiety as she spoke softly. What's happening? I woke up to find floodwater all the way below our floor. I barely have any food left at home. Are you heading out to search for supplies? Yao Wenhao did not hold back the truth. Weiwei, this flood is a catastrophe for all humanity. At the current rate, this entire building will be submerged soon. Staying here or fleeing to the rooftop is a death sentence. Our only paths to survival are to find high, dry land to settle on, or live out on the water aboard a boat. Lu Weiwei stared at him in shock. What? You mean, you plan to live out here on this? She gestured toward the wooden boat beneath his feet, utterly dumbfounded. It seemed impossible to her that anyone could survive relying on such a small craft. Yao Wenhao smiled. Staying here means certain death. Come with me, and I guarantee you will survive. You won't need to worry about food. I have plenty. Lu Weiwei's eyes widened in shock, torn with hesitation. Yao Wenhao continued. This chance won't come again. Either leave with me now, or stay here and wait for the flood to overtake you. Don't expect outside rescue. These torrential rains are global. Our neighborhood is already on higher ground. Areas at lower elevations are suffering far worse flooding. Lu Weiwei fell silent, deep in thought. Yao Wenhao waited for a long time. Seeing she could not make up her mind, he prepared to leave. It seems you don't trust me. Stay here and wait, then. I'm leaving. He lifted the or to push off, but Lu Weiwei called out once more. Wait, Brother Wenhao. Yao Wenhao turned to look at her. Lu Weiwei steeled her resolve. All right, I'll come with you. You're right. Waiting here means death. I might as well take this chance. Perhaps we can find safe high ground. Yao Wenhao smiled faintly. His first female passenger had agreed to board. Good. Climb out the window, and I'll catch you. Lu Weiwei hesitated. Hold on, Brother Wenhao. I have some food left inside. Let me grab it. Yao Wenhao stopped her. There's no need. I have supplies. Lu Weiwei glanced over the empty wooden boat in disbelief. Aside from Yao Wenhao and 2 oars, there was not a single bag in sight. Still, she wondered if he had hidden supplies somewhere he planned to retrieve later. Very well, Brother Wenhao. I'm coming out now. Lu Weiwei dragged a chair over, stood upon it, and swung her legs out of the window. Yao Wenhao watched her carefully. He had a wife and son before the disaster, so he had never allowed himself to entertain inappropriate thoughts about his attractive neighbor. But everything had changed now. He stretched out his arms to support Lu Weiwei's waist and carefully lifted her down into the wooden boat. Rain soaked both of them to the bone as they stood close to one another. Yao Wenhao noticed she wore a pleated skirt and a white blouse. The rain plastered the fabric against her body. Lu Weiwei realized how intimately they stood, with Yao Wenhao's hands still resting around her waist. Her cheeks flushed slightly. Brother Wenhao, your hands. Yao Wenhao snapped out of his daze and quickly pulled his hands away. Before he could speak, jeers erupted from the surrounding buildings once again. Wow, someone is actually getting on that shoddy boat. Girl, you're making a huge mistake. Come back quickly before it's too late. That's right. This fool's tiny boat will sink, and you'll lose your life. Don't be fooled. You'll regret this. Stones were hurled toward the boat. None struck them, but Lu Weiwei flinched in fright. Yao Wenhao looked at her with a calm smile. Weiwei, are you certain you want to come with me? You can still turn back now. Lu Weiwei met his gaze. After a long pause, she spoke firmly. Brother Wenhao, we have been neighbors for years. I trust your character. I believe you are a good man, and I will not go back on my decision. Satisfaction showed on Yao Wenhao's face. Good. This will be the wisest choice you ever make. The moment his words faded, a voice echoed inside his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host. The first female passenger has boarded the vessel. The boat will begin upgrading immediately. System storage space expanded. Supply rebate multiplier unchanged. Exchange shop unlocked. Before Yao Wenhao could process the notification, the wooden boat began transforming before his eyes. A covered shelter, similar to the cabin on an ancient fishing boat, materialized out of nowhere, and the hull grew noticeably wider. Yao Wenhao stared in stunned silence. Lu Weiwei sensed his reaction and turned her head. When she saw the newly formed shelter, her eyes widened in utter shock. What is this? Yao Wenhao struggled to find the words to explain. After a moment's thought, he decided to reveal part of the truth. The boat would keep upgrading, and he could not hide this secret forever. Weiwei, since you've seen it, I won't lie to you. This wooden boat can keep upgrading. Your choice today is absolutely the right one. Lu Weiwei's mouth fell open in shock. How is that possible? Is there some hidden mechanism built into the boat? Yao Wenhao knew she could hardly accept what she saw, so he dropped the subject. Think of it as a secret mechanism. Hurry into the shelter to avoid the heavy rain. Don't catch a cold. Lu Weiwei nodded, still wide-eyed with amazement. She climbed into the shelter and sat down, looking around in disbelief. Yao Wenhao picked up the oar and rowed away. Watching the boat drift off, the onlookers' mocking words turned into confused murmurs. Did I imagine that? Did that idiot's wooden boat just grow a covered shelter out of nowhere? I saw it too, it really happened. Could there be some kind of trick built into the boat? A trick won't change anything. Even with a shelter, that little craft is doomed to sink. What a shame about that beautiful woman. It's unfair she's going to die alongside him. Lu Weiwei stared out at the wreckage floating across the floodwaters. Every so often, she spotted bodies briefly surfacing before being dragged under by floating debris. Fear ran through her. She still questioned whether following Yao Wenhao was the right decision, yet she knew one thing for certain. Staying trapped in her apartment would only lead to death eventually. She lifted her head to look at Yao Wenhao and spoke gently, trying to comfort him. Brother Wenhao, I've heard what happened between you and your wife. Don't let it weigh too heavily on you. Yao Wenhao let out a quiet sigh. Bad news really spread fast. He gave her a faint smile. There's no need to comfort me. That woman isn't worth my grief. Lu Weiwei said nothing more. Realizing she must be hungry, Yao Wenhao reached into his storage space and pulled out a loaf of bread, a steaming corn cob, and a bottle of clean mineral water, handing them to her. Eat these to fill your stomach for now. We'll find a chance to make a proper hot meal later. Lu Weiwei stared in shock at the food and water in his hands. She had been watching him closely, and she clearly saw the supplies appear out of thin air. She numbly accepted the items and looked up at him. Brother Wenhao, where did these things come from? Yao Wenhao laughed awkwardly. You can think of it as magic. Lu Weiwei was utterly baffled. Torrential rain had lasted for more than 10 days, and she rarely left home, so her food reserves had long run low. She had planned to go shopping that morning, only to wake up and find floodwater surrounding her building. The few snacks she had left were nothing more than crisps and biscuits that could not sustain her. She set aside her confusion and tore open the bread packaging, eating hungrily. At that moment, the system notification sounded in Yao Wenhao's mind once again. Ding. Detected the host providing 1 loaf of bread for a female passenger. 5-fold rebate available. 5 loaves of bread. Detected the host providing 1 steamed corn cob for a female passenger. 5-fold rebate available. 5 corn cobs. Detected the host providing 1 bottle of mineral water for a female passenger. 5-fold rebate available. 5 bottles of mineral water. Even though he had anticipated the system's mechanics, Yao Wenhao's heart leaped with joy. He closed his eyes and focused his consciousness inside the system storage space. The storage area, originally the size of 1 shipping container, had expanded to 1.5 containers. All the supplies gained from the rebate appeared neatly inside. Yao Wenhao was overjoyed. This was an incredibly profitable arrangement. Curious, he opened the exchange shop. Only 2 pages of goods were available for the moment, mostly food items such as rice, flour, and cooking oil. At the bottom of the second page, weapons could be purchased, including machetes and baseball bats. A line of text sat in the bottom right corner of the exchange panel. Total prestige points. 100. Every item listed, whether food or weapons, cost 10 prestige points each. Yao Wenhao asked the system directly. System, how do I earn prestige points? The system replied. Every female passenger aboard the host's vessel will generate 100 prestige points daily. The more female passengers on board, the higher your prestige income, and more merchandise will unlock in the exchange shop. Yao Wenhao nodded in understanding and opened his eyes. He needed more women to join him on the boat. Where could he find more survivors? With this thought, he gripped the oar and steered the wooden boat toward the company that had fired him a few days earlier. The relentless storm had devastated every industry. Yao Wenhao's company operated in the commercial sector. After more than 10 days of nonstop rain, Yao Wenhao, a loyal veteran employee of over a decade, had become the first person laid off, pushed out by their scheming department manager. Still, the company had one notable advantage. It employed many women. Even the company's boss was a tall, stunning woman, though she had a sharp and unforgiving personality. As the wooden boat drifted across the floodwaters, it drew stares and jeers from stranded survivors everywhere. Many men and women waved, begging for passage. "Brother, please take me with you. My child is alone at home. I need to get back to them. I'm begging you. Sir, have mercy. My home must be submerged, and I cannot reach my parents. Can you take me there? I can pay you. Please take me to my boyfriend's place." Yao Wenhao ignored all their pleas. He was no saint, unable to save everyone. This was the apocalypse, and everyone had to look out for themselves. Lu Weiwei inside the boat's canopy also sensed that something was wrong. The small wooden boat looked rickety, yet no matter how violently the flood surged, she could not feel the slightest jolt, as if she were sitting firmly on solid ground. Several times she wanted to ask Yao Wenhao, but she held her tongue. By now, they had arrived outside the building where Yao Wenhao used to work. The company premises were already submerged by the flood. All the staff had fled to the top floor. One male employee caught sight of Yao Wenhao rowing the small wooden boat at once. He shouted out loud, "Hey everyone, look! Isn't that Yao Wenhao? How did he get here in a tiny wooden boat?" Everyone turned their heads at the shout. When they saw it really was Yao Wenhao, they were utterly stunned. The boss was Yin Huanhuan. The moment she laid eyes on Yao Wenhao, she did not hesitate for a second and charged down the stairs. The rest followed closely behind her. The group reached a floor that had not yet been fully swallowed by the flood. The windows here had long been shattered by debris carried by the floodwater, which now lapped up to their ankles. Just then, Yao Wenhao rowed the wooden boat close to them. Some colleagues who had gotten along well with Yao Wenhao called out immediately. "Wenhao, is that you? Come over here." Yao Wenhao turned his head. He had come for them on purpose, so he rowed the boat toward the crowd without delay. As the boat drew near, everyone bombarded him with questions. They asked where he had gotten the wooden boat and where he was heading. But before Yao Wenhao could answer, Yin Huanhuan pushed through the crowd, her face still cold as she spoke to him. "Yao Wenhao, let me board right away. My parents are waiting for me." With that, she lifted her leg, ready to step onto the boat. Yao Wenhao dipped his oar and pushed the boat backward. The sudden movement nearly sent Yin Huanhuan tumbling into the flood. Luckily, Zhu Hua, the sycophant standing behind her, grabbed her arm. Yin Huanhuan stared at Yao Wenhao, shock and anger written all over her face. Before she could fly into a rage, Zhu Hua, eager to curry favor, pointed a finger at Yao Wenhao and yelled, "Yao Wenhao, are you out of your mind? You almost made the boss fall into the floodwater. Be sensible and let us board. If you do, the boss might show mercy and let you come back to work once the flood recedes. Otherwise, you'll never set foot in this company again." Yao Wenhao let out a bitter laugh at the manager's words. The end of the world was already here, yet he was still trying to threaten him with a job. "Zhu Hua, do you really think you're the only place I can find work? Or do you honestly believe this flood will clear up soon? I wouldn't want to step foot in your heartless company even if I could. Go ahead and show me where your office is now, if you can." Zhu Hua was left speechless by Yao Wenhao's retort. Yin Huanhuan still failed to grasp the gravity of the situation. She thought Yao Wenhao was still the employee she could summon and dismiss at will. "Yao Wenhao, I don't have time to waste arguing. Let me board and take me to my parents, or don't blame me for being harsh with you." Yao Wenhao let out a cold chuckle. "Harsh? Boss Yin, what exactly are you going to do? Withhold my wages? Or try to hurt me? You?" Yin Huanhuan was so furious her chest heaved. Yao Wenhao did not want to waste any more time bickering. His gaze swept over the crowd and finally settled on one young woman. Her name was Wan Lijia. She was just as attractive as Yin Huanhuan and Lu Weiwei. Wan Lijia had joined the company under Yao Wenhao's guidance. They had always gotten along well. Yao Wenhao was not oblivious. He could tell Wan Lijia had feelings for him. But he had been married back then, so they had kept their relationship strictly professional, never crossing any boundaries. Yao Wenhao offered her a gentle smile. "Lijia, do you want to come with me?" "Me?" Wan Lijia froze, pointing to herself in disbelief. Yin Huanhuan grew upset instantly. "Yao Wenhao, what is this? You'll let Wan Lijia board, but not me?" I warn you, if anything happens to my parents, I will never let you off the hook. Yao Wenhao shot her a disdainful glance. What happens to your parents is none of my business. This is my boat. I decide who gets on board. If you utter one more insult, I guarantee you will suffer greatly. Feel free to test me. Yin Huan opened her mouth to shout again, but the murderous look in Yao Wenhao's eyes made her hold back. Zhu Hua, however, had no sense of self-preservation. Yao Wenhao, do you think we can't survive without your shabby little boat? Frankly, I wouldn't want to get on this rickety thing anyway. One big wave, and it'll sink with everyone on board. He turned to Yin Huan as he spoke, putting on the perfect display of a bootlicker. Boss, we're better off not taking his beat-up boat. I'll contact my friend right now. His words were cut short by a sharp pain in his arm. Zhu Hua's eyes widened. He slowly looked down and saw a hideous gash on his arm, blood gushing out non-stop. Every pair of eyes locked onto Yao Wenhao. In his hand was a machete, rainwater washing away the blood on its blade. Zhu Hua clutched his bleeding wound, overcome by agony and terror. He could not believe that Yao Wenhao, the man they had pushed around constantly, would slash him with a blade. Even in his pain, Zhu Hua snarled. Yao Wenhao, you dare attack me with a knife. I'm calling the police. I'll make sure you go to prison and rot there for the rest of your life. It hurts. Yao Wenhao smiled coldly. Call the police then. Go ahead. I'll wait right here for them to arrest me. Zhu Hua gripped his arm and stayed rooted to the spot. They had tried calling for help when the flood first hit, but there had been no signal at all. Yao Wenhao continued to smirk. What's stopping you? Lost your phone, or do you just dislike calling the police? Zhu Hua growled. Don't get cocky, Yao Wenhao. The flood will recede eventually, and then I'll crush you like an ant. A cruel smile lingered on Yao Wenhao's face. He waved the machete, and the sight made Zhu Hua stumble backward, quickly hiding behind Yin Huan. Satisfied to see his fear, Yao Wenhao laughed. Scared now? Don't worry. I wouldn't dirty my hands killing you. Without proper cleaning and treatment, that wound will get infected. The rot will slowly spread through your arm. It will be far worse than death. Panic washed over Zhu Hua. Yao Wenhao's words sounded like a death sentence, making his head spin. He turned to Yin Huan desperately. Boss, save me. He's just getting revenge for us firing him. Think of something. I don't want to die here. Yin Huan stared coldly at Yao Wenhao, though the arrogance in her eyes was gone. Yao Wenhao, you know we had to lay you off when the flood hit out of nowhere. Listen to me. If you take me to find my parents, once the flood passes, I'll hire you back and give you a promotion and a raise. Does that satisfy you? Yao Wenhao looked at her, unwilling to waste another word. He turned back to Wan Lijia. So, will you come with me, or stay here and wait for disaster? Wan Lijia hesitated. Ignored by Yao Wenhao, Yin Huan flew into a rage. Yao Wenhao, if you won't take me away, no one else gets on that boat. She spun toward Wan Lijia. I'm warning all of you. Anyone who boards Yao Wenhao's boat will be fired immediately. Yao Wenhao chuckled. Bossine, can you come up with a new threat? Fire people? Where exactly is your company now? Haven't you noticed the water level is still rising? Everyone looked down. The water that had only reached their ankles moments before was now nearly up to their knees. Panic rippled through the group. It's true, the water keeps rising. This whole building could be submerged by tonight. Could this really be the end of the world? One employee began to plead. Wenhao, we've always gotten along. Please take us somewhere higher ground. Wenhao, remember I used to bring you breakfast? Please give us a ride. Yao Wenhao ignored them, his gaze fixed firmly on Wan Lijia. Wan Lijia made up her mind. I'll go with you. She stretched out her hand, waiting for Yao Wenhao to pull her aboard. Yin Huan lunged forward and grabbed her arm. Absolutely not. Yao Wenhao, you won't take anyone without me. Wan Lijia, step onto that boat, and you can forget about coming back to work. Yao Wenhao smiled, and Wan Lijia smiled too. She glanced around at her colleagues and said coolly, Bossine, do you really think we can't survive without your company? Besides, everyone is struggling to stay alive right now. Drop that boss attitude. Once the flood ends, I can just find another job. Now let go of me. Other staff members who had long endured unfair treatment from Yin Huan and Zhu Hua also spoke up. Exactly. Yin Huan, this might be the end of everything, and you still act like we're your subordinates. I'd rather struggle on my own than put up with you. You keep threatening to fire us. Go ahead and fire me. We don't need you to survive. Yin Huan erupted. She shouted at the top of her lungs. Fine. Have it your way. Go with Yao Wenhao then. Do you really think you can survive on that tiny boat? You're dreaming. Who said this is a shabby little boat? Yin Huan had barely finished speaking when Yao Wenhao's voice sounded. The crowd turned to look at him. Zhu Hua, writhing in pain, seized the chance to jeer. What else is it but a shabby boat? Anyone who gets on is asking for trouble. I'll watch and see how you all end up. Wan Lijiao walked to the edge of the floor and held out her hand once more. Wenhao, I'm coming with you. Without hesitation, Yao Wenhao reached out and hauled her onto the boat. Once aboard, Wan Lijia smiled at him before turning to scan the crowd. Tangwen, come with us. Tangwen was Wan Lijia's closest friend at work. Though not as striking as Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei, she was still quite pretty. She had also stood up against Yin Huanhuan just moments earlier. But when Tangwen saw Wan Lijia's outstretched hand, she forced an awkward smile. Lijia, I think I'll stay. I'll wait for rescue. This boat, I just don't feel safe. Yao Wenhao and Wan Lijia could easily read her thoughts. She thought the wooden boat was dangerous and believed staying inside the building was safer. Wan Lijia paused. Tangwen, are you sure you won't come? Tangwen shook her head. I'm sorry, Lijia. We'll meet again once the flood recedes. Seeing she could not persuade her, Wan Lijia let it go. Very well, if that's your choice. Wan Lijia called out to several other female colleagues she was close to, but each shook their heads with a polite smile, unwilling to board. At that moment, Yao Wenhao spoke. This is your own decision. Don't come to regret it later. As his voice faded, something incredible unfolded right before everyone's eyes. The small wooden boat began to transform visibly. Sheets of iron slowly wrapped around its wooden hull. More accurately, metal plating spread to cover every surface. The canopy that had been added after Lu Weiwei boarded also shifted, hardening into metal fitted with glass windows. Even Yao Wenhao stared in shock. After a stunned silence, someone in the crowd gasped. What on earth is happening? Is it some kind of transformer? Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei watched, frozen in amazement. In the blink of an eye, the original wooden boat vanished. In its place sat a sturdy iron vessel, far safer than what had been there before. Wan Lijia turned to Yao Wenhao. Wenhao, this boat. Yao Wenhao snapped out of his astonishment and grinned. Amazing, isn't it? This is only the beginning. My boat will keep growing stronger. Staying with me is your best chance. Wan Lijia stared at him, lost for words. Lu Weiwei smiled at her. Miss Wan, you haven't seen what the boat looked like at first. It's incredible. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't witnessed it myself. Only then did Wan Lijia notice another beautiful woman inside the boat. A flicker of disappointment rose in her heart, and she quickly bowed toward Lu Weiwei. Hello, sister-in-law. Lu Weiwei's cheeks flushed. She glanced at Yao Wenhao. You've misunderstood, Miss Wan. I'm not his wife, just his neighbor. Wan Lijia looked toward Yao Wenhao in surprise. She had worked alongside him for years and had never met his wife. Yao Wenhao smiled at her. There's no sister-in-law anymore. I'm single now. Wan Lijia's face turned pink. If he was single, perhaps there was a chance. All right, let's set off. Yao Wenhao prepared to steer the boat away, but the people on the shore called out frantically. Wenhao, wait for us. We want to come. It's incredible. This boat feels so safe. Please let us board. Me too. Give us a chance. Among them were the same women who had turned Wan Lijia down only minutes before. Yao Wenhao had already offered them an opportunity, and they had rejected it. Yao Wenhao turned toward them and said flatly, I gave you your chance, and you chose not to take it. It's too late now. Every face darkened, twisted with bitter regret. Yin Huanhuan pushed back through the crowd again. This time she wore a flattering, ingratiating smile. Yao Wenhao, I never imagined your boat had such extraordinary abilities. Name your price. How much do you want to let me come aboard? Or if you want something else, I can arrange it. Yao Wenhao looked at her forced smile and rolled his eyes. Well, the high and mighty boss Yin is begging for a spot on my boat. That's quite a change. Unfortunately, not everyone gets to board. Even if you offered everything you have, there's no place for you. So the answer is no. Yin Huanhuan's face drained of all color. Never in her life had she been humiliated so deeply. Her looks and status, which she had always taken pride in, meant nothing to Yao Wenhao. Yao Wenhao, are you even a man? Yao Wenhao turned and gestured toward Lu Weiwei and Wan Lijia inside the cabin. Take a look at the women on my boat. What do you think? I simply don't like you, so you won't be coming aboard. Yin Huanhuan completely lost her temper and unleashed a stream of furious insults. Yao Wenhao smiled coldly. He looked at Tang Wan and the other women watching from the shore, then spoke loudly. I'll give you one more chance. Whoever helps me stop her shouting can come on board. Yin Huanhuan froze instantly. She stared nervously at the women, stepping backward. Don't you dare touch me. If you lay a hand on me, I'll slap. Before she could finish, Tang Wan rushed forward and struck her hard across the face. You arrogant woman. Do you still think you're our boss? I'm going to teach you a lesson for Wenhao. Slap, slap, slap. 3 more loud blows followed. The other women surged forward. You loved docking our wages, didn't you? Now you'll get what you deserve. We worked ourselves ragged only to be screamed at by you. I've wanted to stand up to you for ages. Teach her a lesson. Even Yao Wenhao watched on, surprised by the scene unfolding before him. In Huan struggled at first, but the women grabbed her hair and pulled at her clothes. Within moments, her outer garments were torn away, leaving her in her undergarments. In Huan screamed for help. Let go of me. I'll make all of you pay. Zhu Hua, save me. Zhu Hua stood nearby, watching the enraged women. He wanted to intervene, but he glanced at Yao Wenhao and hesitated. He feared Yao Wenhao might make a similar offer to the crowd to attack him in exchange for passage. He could only stay where he was, clutching his heavily bleeding arm. The floodwater had reached knee height by now. In Huan was pushed under the surface several times, choking on water, her head spinning. Seeing she was close to collapse, Tang Wen and the others feared they might kill her, so they pulled back. In Huan leaned against a pillar, stripped of all her arrogance, soaked and disheveled. Tang Wen and the others turned to Yao Wenhao. Wenhao, can we board now? Yao Wenhao nodded in satisfaction. These women might be opportunistic, but several of them were attractive. To help his boat grow stronger, he was willing to make an exception. He raised his hand and called out names one by one. Everyone who had joined in confronting In Huan was allowed to board. Tang Wen and the others lit up with joy. Once 7 or 8 women climbed onto the vessel, cheerful chatter filled the boat. Naturally, some tried to sneak on board. Several women approached the edge of the boat. Wenhao, we joined in too. Let us come with you. Yao Wenhao's voice turned cold. I saw exactly who took part and who did not. This was your second chance, and you wasted it. The women fell silent, exchanging helpless glances. The few male employees from the company stepped forward. Sir, attacking a woman isn't honorable. Let us board. We will follow your every order. Yes, Wenhao, we never wronged you. Please save us. Yao Wenhao smiled coldly at them. Sorry, my boat isn't taking any men for the time being. Everyone stared at him in shock. At that moment, In Huan, her face bruised and swollen from the beating, charged forward once more. She opened her mouth, ready to hurl vicious insults at Yao Wenhao's entire family, when the bizarre sight from earlier unfolded again before everyone's eyes. The iron boat beneath Yao Wenhao underwent another dramatic transformation. Much like a transformer shifting form, the shabby little iron vessel morphed into a yacht spacious enough for 20 people in less than a minute. Its enormous hull completely blocked the windows on the floor where In Huan and the others stood. Witnessing this scene, every single person stared in stunned silence. Only now did they truly realize that Yao Wenhao's boat was far from ordinary. Perhaps this vessel was the safest place in the entire city at this moment. The women aboard the yacht were equally astonished. They had not expected the miraculous transformation to happen again without warning. Seeing the tiny iron boat turn into a full-sized yacht, they felt a mix of shock and joy. Good heavens, what kind of magical ship is this? I have a strange feeling this boat must have been gifted to Brother Wenhao by some higher power. If a flood apocalypse really arrives, this yacht will be the perfect shelter. I'm glad I stood up to that hateful woman earlier. It's the best decision I've ever made. Ignoring In Huan and her companions, Yao Wenhao started the boat and pulled away. Inside, his heart raced with excitement. With the system and this vessel, even if doomsday descended, he could live comfortably and securely alongside the women with him. As Yao Wenhao's yacht departed, reactions split sharply into two extremes. All the women on board cheered loudly, while those left behind stood frozen for a long time before shouting toward the yacht. Brother Wenhao, come back. Take us with you. I'll do anything to serve you. Li Jia, for the sake of our past friendship, please beg Brother Wenhao to return. Brother Wenhao, give me another chance. I'll make sure that woman gets what she deserves. Yao Wenhao walked into the yacht's cockpit. He discovered that after the upgrade, the vessel required almost no manual operation. It navigated automatically. His only job was to avoid large floating debris in the floodwaters. Even if the yacht collided with debris, the floating objects could not damage it in the slightest. It was truly a divine vessel. Yao Wenhao shifted his consciousness into the system space once more. The space had expanded to 200 square meters. The supplies he had stockpiled at first only occupied a small corner. To his greater delight, the exchange system had reopened. There were more than 20 pages of available goods now. Food, daily necessities, clothing, everything was available. New weapons had also been added, including crossbows and compound bows. His reputation value had risen from the initial 100 to 700. That meant 6 women, in addition to Lu Weiwei, had been recognized as qualified by the system. 10 women were on the yacht in total, and Yao Wenhao pondered for a moment. He decided it was time to establish authority. Among this group, only Wan Lijia had his full trust. Even Lu Weiwei, the first woman to board, was merely a former neighbor. He had seen the fighting ability of Tang Wen and the others. If they united against him, he might not be able to overpower them. Yao Wenhao picked up his machete and walked slowly toward the cabin. He paused outside the cabin door for a while, not entering immediately. Wow, Brother Wenhao's boat is incredible. I wonder if it can change form again in the future. It must be able to. Who could believe that tiny boat turned into this yacht in the blink of an eye? Thank goodness he gave us a second chance. Otherwise, we would have died trapped in that high rise. Hey, I heard Brother Wenhao is married. Weiwei, you were his neighbor. Where's his wife? Why isn't she with him? Yao Wenhao had intended to listen for signs of threat from the women, yet they were only gossiping about him. Slightly exasperated, he stepped into the cabin with the blade in hand. Everyone grew frightened at the sight of him carrying a weapon. Wan Lijia hurried forward. Brother Wenhao, what are you doing? Lu Weiwei also stepped up. Brother Wenhao, you can tell us whatever you need to say. There's no need to frighten us like this. Yao Wenhao wasted no time and spoke in a low voice. Now that you are on my boat, we need to set 3 ground rules. First, you may struggle to believe this, but the end of the world has come. This global downpour will continue until nearly all land on Earth is submerged. What? The end of the world? Shock swept across their faces, but Yao Wenhao continued without pause. Second, you have seen that my boat can keep upgrading. But I will make this clear. Without me, it is just an ordinary vessel. No one else can pilot it or trigger its transformations. If you want to survive, your only chance is to stay with me. Think carefully before you consider betrayal. Third, I have access to unlimited food. As he spoke, Yao Wenhao stretched out his arm. Rice and flour materialized in his palms out of nowhere. Once again, the women stared in disbelief. Yao Wenhao went on. This is another ability I possess. If you want to avoid starvation, behave yourselves. Where else could you possibly find supplies in this disaster? All of them were stunned by the man standing before them, familiar yet utterly alien. He could alter the boat's form and conjure grain out of thin air. It was beyond comprehension. One woman was about to ask Yao Wenhao a question when a deafening roar echoed from outside. Splash! Everyone froze. Following Yao Wenhao's lead, they rushed out of the cabin to the bow. The scene that met their eyes filled them with terror. In the distance atop the hills, the horrors of the apocalypse unfolded once again. Countless water columns surged forward like raging dragons. This flood was far more violent than the previous wave. Rock formations and trees that had barely survived the first flood were already unstable. This new surge crashed down like a breached dam, unstoppable. Entire hilltops were washed away. Huge boulders crashed into the floodwaters with thunderous crashes, sounds quickly swallowed by the howling current. Before Yao Wenhao's group could react, a towering wall of floodwater charged straight toward the city. This wave threatened to destroy the entire metropolis. One woman on board sank heavily onto the deck, her face drained of color. We're doomed. Li Jia, I never should have listened to you and gotten on this boat. That massive wave will sink even this supposedly magical vessel. The others sank into despair. One woman grabbed Yao Wenhao's arm tightly. Yao Wenhao, this is all your fault for making us bored. There's a tall building ahead. Take us there at once. That's right. We don't want to die with you. Hurry before it's too late. The rest joined in the demands. Yao Wenhao wanted to hurl all these women into the raging water for their ingratitude. But if they were determined to seek refuge on the rooftops, he could grant their wish and let them await their fate in despair. He sent a mental command to the system to steer the yacht toward the nearest high-rise building. In less than 3 seconds, the boat pulled alongside the structure. Yao Wenhao looked toward the women clamoring to leave and smiled coldly. If you want to go, feel free. At once, they scrambled to disembark. Only Wan Lijia, Tang Wen, and Lu Weiwei remained with Yao Wenhao on the yacht. Tang Wen turned to Wan Lijia. Li Jia you. Wan Lijia glanced at Yao Wenhao, then gave Tang Wen a bitter smile. Tang Wen, I won't stop you if you want to leave. I trust Brother Wenhao. Even if death awaits us, I accept it. Tang Wen hesitated, torn between staying and fleeing. She thought rapidly as the flood drew closer. Finally, she gritted her teeth and faced Wan Lijia. Li Jia, I'm sorry. I can't see how any boat could survive this flood. If we all make it through this, we will remain close friends. With that, Tang Wen jumped from the yacht into the building and ran toward the rooftop without looking back. Wan Lijia watched her go, her heart heavy. She chose to stay not because of the boat's miraculous powers or Yao Wenhao's ability to summon food. She had long held feelings for him. Even at the end of the world, she wanted to remain by his side. The flood continued slamming against buildings on the city's outskirts. Several structures collapsed after being struck by boulders carried in the current. Screams erupted from people trapped on upper floors before they were swallowed by the muddy waters and vanished. Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei witnessed this catastrophic scene and instinctively moved closer to Yao Wenhao, seeking comfort in his presence. Wan Lijia could no longer hold back her emotions. Tears mixed with rain streamed down her cheeks. Without a word, she leaned in and kissed Yao Wenhao deeply. Yao Wenhao stiffened in shock, caught completely off guard. The kiss lingered, and she poured all her suppressed affection into it. She only pulled away as the massive flood wave neared. She gazed at him, her eyes full of devoted affection. Brother Wenhao, since the world is ending, I want to do everything I was too afraid to do before. In the next life, I hope to marry you. Even Lu Weiwei stood by, unsure how to react. The charged moment made her wonder if she ought to speak up too. Yao Wenhao looked at Wan Lijia. He understood how she felt. Now that he had been betrayed by his wife and stood alone, he was free to pursue new connections. He gently pulled Wan Lijia into his embrace and whispered, "Don't worry. We will survive. I cannot promise the same for everyone else." A twinge of loneliness stirred in Lu Weiwei's heart as she watched them. Yet Yao Wenhao's confident words gave her new hope. Perhaps they really would make it out alive. The flood was now dozens of meters away. Building after building vanished beneath the rising waters. Only the tallest towers still stood above the surface, their inhabitants spared for the moment. Shouts and weeping echoed faintly over the thunder of the flood. The wave was almost upon them. Lu Weiwei and Wan Lijia clung tightly to Yao Wenhao's arms, closing their eyes to await their fate. Yao Wenhao stared straight at the towering wall of water. Despite his outward calm, anxiety gnawed at him. He could not fathom how the yacht could withstand such force. He could only place absolute faith in the system. As the flood crashed down overhead, Yao Wenhao's heart pounded wildly in his chest. He refused to shut his eyes, determined to witness how the boat would endure the impact. Splash! A deafening crash sent huge waves surging outward. Then something incredible happened. A translucent barrier appeared around the yacht, repelling the raging floodwater entirely. The vessel functioned like a submarine, capable of navigating beneath the waves. The yacht slowly rose upward, shielded by the protective field. The massive waves struck, yet they did not feel even the slightest jolt. It was utterly astounding. Lu Weiwei and Wan Lijia opened their eyes and saw the barrier for themselves, utterly astounded. What is happening? Before Yao Wenhao could reply, the yacht began to resurface. Tang Wen and the other women were fortunate. The building they fled to had not been fully submerged. Several floors still stood above the flood. Once they reached the rooftop and escaped the immediate danger, relief washed over them. Thank goodness we got away. We would have drowned with Yao Wenhao and Wan Lijia on that boat. Exactly. Even if his ship is special, there's no way it could survive a flood this huge. He acted so arrogant laying down those rules, as if he's someone important. Tang Wen felt miserable. She and Wan Lijia had once been best friends. She kept staring at the spot where the yacht had been swallowed by the flood. While the others continued to complain, Tang Wen suddenly spotted a yacht emerging slowly from the muddy current. She cried out in shock. "Everyone look!" All the rooftop survivors crowded beside her and peered down into the flood. When they saw the resurfaced yacht, astonishment silenced them. How is this possible? Is that boat a yacht or a submarine? Could Yao Wenhao's vessel truly be blessed by some higher power, impossible to sink no matter how violent the flood? On board the yacht, Yao Wenhao exhaled in relief as the boat surfaced. His expression remained composed, but joy surged inside him. Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei were equally elated. At last, they fully believed that this yacht was the safest haven in the apocalypse. They clung to Yao Wenhao's arms and laughed with relief. "Brother Wenhao, we're safe. This is wonderful." "Yes, Brother Wenhao. Choosing to stay with you was the best decision I ever made." Their laughter drifted across the water to the rooftop. The women who had abandoned the boat wore faces filled with regret. The woman who had insulted Yao Wenhao earlier called out shamelessly, "Brother Wenhao, wait for us. We'll come down right away to join you." She hurried toward the lower floors. Though Tang Wen burned with embarrassment, she followed the crowd down, desperate to survive. Other survivors on the building trailed after them. Soon they stood on a partially submerged floor, level with the yacht. The woman who had been the loudest in her complaints stretched out her hand toward Yao Wenhao. "Brother Wenhao, pull me aboard quickly." Yao Wenhao glanced at her coldly and made no move to help. "Why should I pull you onto my boat? You chose to leave of your own free will. Everyone must bear the consequences of their decisions." The woman froze, then forced a smile. "Brother Wenhao, don't be so serious. We were terrified by the flood. Anyone would have panicked in our place." The others quickly chimed in. That's right, Brother Wenhao. Fear made us act recklessly. We never would have left otherwise. Remember how we helped you deal with Yin Huan? Let us back on board. You have my word, Brother Wenhao. I will never leave the boat again. Yao Wenhao let out a short laugh. I'm sorry. I gave you a chance, and you threw it away. Don't blame me. I have somewhere to go, so I'll take my leave. You can wait here for official rescue. Before he could steer away, a man from the crowd spoke up. Official rescue won't come. This heavy rain is global. Countless regions are submerged, and this entire city is falling. This high ground might hold out for now, but it will flood eventually. I have a relative working in the government. He confirmed that the end of civilization has arrived. Panic spread through the crowd. What do we do then? We can't just wait here to die. If another flood wave hits, none of us will survive. I don't want to perish. The boat is our only hope. Staying here is a death sentence. Tang Wen and the other women listened, horrified. Tang Wen set aside her pride, pushed through the crowd, and called to Wan Lijia. Lijia, we were wrong to leave. Please speak to Brother Wenhao and ask him to let us back on the yacht. Seeing they could not persuade Yao Wenhao directly, the rest begged Wan Lijia for help. Wan Lijia looked troubled, but she finally answered Tang Wen. Tang Wen, I'm truly sorry. This boat belongs to Brother Wenhao. He decides who may board, and I cannot overrule him. Tang Wen sank to the ground, speechless. Yao Wenhao was pleased with Wan Lijia's response. She clearly understood the rules of survival in the apocalypse, unwavering loyalty. Yao Wenhao smiled coldly. Very well, everyone. We have to go. Farewell. He prepared to depart, but the other survivors refused to let him leave. Sir, wait a moment. Yao Wenhao turned to face the crowd. A middle-aged man in a tailored suit, clearly a former business owner, stepped forward. Sir, I see there are only 3 of you on the yacht. There is plenty of space. Can you take my family aboard? I know money means nothing now, but name any condition you can think of, and I will do everything I can to fulfill it. Yao Wenhao smiled. I'm sorry. I will not accept any men on my vessel for the time being. The man stared in surprise. Why not? Yao Wenhao continued smiling. No particular reason. You can simply say I prefer not to have men on board. His reply left the man lost for words. Privately, Yao Wenhao had good reason for this rule. He was not yet strong enough to handle potential threats. If a group of men united to seize the yacht, he would be outmatched. Only after further upgrades, once the boat possessed advanced defensive systems, would he consider taking male survivors. For now, he would only accept women of good character. At that moment, a woman's voice rang out from the crowd. Sir, if you won't take men, does that mean I can come aboard? Yao Wenhao turned his gaze toward the speaker. She wore a tight skirt and possessed striking beauty, with graceful features and a well-proportioned figure. She looked exhausted, soaked from the flood and rain. Standing beside the yacht, she adjusted her posture to draw attention to herself and sent gentle glances toward Yao Wenhao, her intentions obvious. But Yao Wenhao remained unmoved. Sorry, I don't take men, but I also won't take someone like you. The woman flew into anger. You. No man had ever dismissed her appearance so bluntly. Before she could argue further, 3 more people pushed through the crowd, a young woman, an elderly woman, and a small boy of around 4 or 5 years old. The young woman walked to the edge of the yacht and knelt before Yao Wenhao, tears rolling down her cheeks. Sir, I don't ask to come aboard myself, but could you let my mother and my child board? My husband was lost in the flood. Please, have mercy on them. This woman could only be described as plain-looking. Before Yao Wenhao could speak, the woman from earlier let out a cold snort. Who does he think he is? He wouldn't even let a beauty like me board his boat. Do you really think begging him will work? Just then, Yao Wenhao's voice rang out. You 3, come aboard. The woman's eyes widened. She turned toward Yao Wenhao, convinced he was talking to her, and instantly grew elated. Brother, I knew it. How could you turn down someone as attractive as me? Rest assured, if you let me on board, I'll stay by your side. Those 2 girls beside you are pretty, but I'm far more capable of taking care of you. I'll make sure you want for nothing. She stepped forward to climb onto the yacht, but before she could pull herself up, something suddenly pricked her eyes. She looked up to see a blade pointed straight between her brows. Shocked, she stumbled backward, staring at Yao Wenhao in disbelief. Brother, what's this? Yao Wenhao said coldly. I wasn't talking about you. I meant the mother and her family of 3. The woman kneeling on the ground froze, then scrambled to her feet in excitement, unable to believe her ears. Sir, are you saying my mother, my son, and I can all get on the boat? Yao Wenhao nodded. Tears streamed down her face at once. She quickly knelt and kowtowed heavily to him. Thank you for saving us. I'll work tirelessly for you for the rest of my life. Once the family boarded, Yao Wenhao prepared to steer the yacht away. Tang Wen and the other women panicked. Tang Wen hurried to speak to him. Wen Hao, I only acted out of desperation back then. None of us knew your boat could submerge and resurface like a submarine. Anyone would have reacted the way we did. Please give us another chance. Yao Wenhao ignored them completely as the yacht slowly pulled away. Despair washed over Tang Wen and the rest. Wenhao, please don't leave. Give us one more chance. Wenhao, come back. I'll serve you faithfully. Just let us get on board. Li Jia, please beg him for us. I don't want to die out here. Wan Li Jia heard their cries and felt a flicker of sympathy. Still, Yao Wenhao had already been more than fair. He'd given them a chance, and they'd thrown it away. No one else to blame. Back inside the cabin, the space that had once been crowded now held only his small group. The newly arrived woman remained endlessly grateful to Yao Wenhao. He waved a hand. I won't keep you on board for nothing. Can you cook? Before she could reply, the elderly woman beside her stepped forward. Young man, rest easy. I've been cooking for decades. My food may not be gourmet, but it's better than most restaurants. Yao Wenhao nodded in satisfaction. That works. I'm sure they've told you the rules on this boat. Starting today, you'll prepare all our meals and handle the household chores. The woman quickly replied. It's the least we can do. We won't let you down. After Yao Wenhao nodded, he asked, What's your name? I'm Hu Ran. This is my mother-in-law Jiang Qin, and my son is Dong Xiaozhuang. Right then, vegetables, meat, rice, oil, salt, and other daily provisions materialized out of thin air and landed on the table. Everyone stared in stunned silence. Yao Wenhao lowered his voice to Hu Ran. I'm sure it's been a long time since any of you had a proper, satisfying meal. Take these and make us something to eat first. Hu Ran shook off her shock and reached for the supplies, only for Yao Wenhao to call out to her. Wait! All eyes turned to him as he looked toward Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei. Lijia Weiwei, could I trouble you two to carry these supplies to the kitchen? Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei readily agreed. As they hauled the goods to the kitchen, Yao Wenhao received a system rebate notification. The rebate multiplier had reached 12 times. He was mildly astonished. Simply having Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei handle the supplies triggered the rebate, and the multiplier had climbed from the initial 5 times to 12. It seemed Tang Wen and the others had not only upgraded the vessel, but also boosted the rebate rate. Surprisingly, after Tang Wen's group left, the yacht did not revert to its original state, nor did the multiplier drop back to 5. He'd worried the boat would shrink back into the small craft it once was once they departed, but clearly, his fears had been unfounded. Hu Ran and Jiang Qin headed to the kitchen, and soon the clatter of pots and pans echoed through the cabin. Once Wan Lijia returned, she could hold back her curiosity no longer. She walked up beside Yao Wenhao and whispered, Wenhao, where on earth have you been hiding all these things? Yao Wenhao simply smiled calmly. Think of it as a magic trick. Seeing he did not wish to elaborate, Wan Lijia dropped the subject. Sometime later, Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei went to help in the kitchen. Plate after plate of fragrant, appetizing food was carried out to the table. Before Yao Wenhao could take a bite, a woman's voice called out from outside. Everyone aboard the ship, can you come out and talk? Evening had fallen. Most survivors huddled in shadowed sections of buildings. Shelter from the rain was scarce. Yao Wenhao's yacht drifted across the floodwaters, its swaying lights starkly visible. Their city lay far from rivers and lakes, so the sudden appearance of a yacht looked deeply out of place. Yao Wenhao and the others stepped onto the bow. Inside a building ahead stood a group of haggard, exhausted men and women watching them. Yao Wenhao recognized the woman who'd called out immediately. It was Yang Li, the city's wealthiest female entrepreneur. Blessed with sharp business acumen, she'd built her empire from the ground up in the finance industry. She was also renowned citywide for her looks and figure, known as the city's most admired woman. Rumors linked her to business tycoons, wealthy heirs, and A-list celebrities. Ordinary workers like Yao Wenhao had only ever seen her on television and news reports. Yao Wenhao thought reasonably well of her. After accumulating wealth, she'd consistently devoted herself to charity, building schools for children in remote mountain regions. Half the orphanages in the city had been funded by her. Whether it was for public image or genuine kindness, she had accomplished tangible good. That much was undeniable. Yao Wenhao blinked in surprise upon seeing her, then steered the boat slowly closer. Are you calling us? Yang Li offered him a charming smile. You're the only one with a yacht out here, so of course I am. Yao Wenhao's heart skipped a beat. He'd seen many beautiful women, yet this woman needed only one glance or subtle gesture to capture anyone's attention. You're Ms. Yang. What can I do for you? Yang Li laughed. There's no need for formal titles. It's the end of the world now. We're all survivors struggling to stay alive. As a seasoned business leader, She understood the stakes. Flaunting her status would get her nowhere. By framing herself as an equal, she sought to win Yao Wenhao's favor, and her approach struck a chord with him. Sir, the truth is, we can't keep hiding inside this building forever. Since you have this yacht, could you let us come aboard temporarily? We'll leave as soon as we find a safe location. Of course, you're free to refuse, and we'll look for other options. I know boarding your vessel likely comes with conditions. Name whatever you need. I will do everything within my power to fulfill it. If I cannot, I won't trouble you further. Her words made Yao Wenhao feel almost guilty if he turned her away. He scanned the group around Yang Li. 7 or 8 women stood with her, many of them striking. 3 or 4 middle-aged men were also present, appearing to be mid-level managers from her company. After a long pause, Yao Wenhao spoke. I can allow you to board. A flicker of excitement crossed Yang Li's face, gone in an instant. She opened her mouth to reply, but Yao Wenhao held up a hand to stop her. But let me be clear. At the moment, I only accept women on my yacht. I have no plans to take on any men. Shock rippled through Yang Li's group, especially the men. Kid, your intentions are obvious. You're just after our chairwoman because she's beautiful. Exactly, chairwoman. This young man means you harm even if he lets you on board. What nerve? We can all see what you're hoping for. Yang Li raised a hand to quiet their bickering and looked at Yao Wenhao. May I ask why you won't allow them to come aboard? Yao Wenhao smiled. Simple question. If you owned this yacht amid the apocalypse, would you let a group of unfamiliar men board? Yang Li answered without hesitation. I would not. There you have it. We all understand how dangerous this world has become. I need to protect my own safety and all the resources on this boat. Until I am fully confident I can handle any emergency, no unrelated men will be permitted aboard. Yang Li fell silent. His logic was sound. She faced 2 choices. First, abandon her longtime employees and board the yacht alone with the other women, giving herself a chance to survive. Second, stay with her staff inside the building and hope for official rescue, a very slim possibility. After a lengthy silence, she lifted her head to Yao Wenhao. Sir, can you make an exception? Let them come aboard with us. They only need a place out of the rain. You could keep them confined, and we can drop them off once we reach safe territory. Before Yao Wenhao could respond, the middle-aged man behind Yang Li spoke up. Chairwoman, you should go on board without us. Being locked away would be no better than waiting here for rescue. That's right. If he fears we pose a threat, we won't board. Don't humble yourself for our sake. I'll stay. But I must warn you, even if his reasoning holds, I don't trust this young man. Yao Wenhao simply smiled and said nothing. Yang Li finally made her decision. Everyone, I will board with the other women first. Rest assured, once I find safety or meet rescue teams, I will send help for you immediately. The men forced bitter smiles and urged her to hurry onto the yacht. Yao Wenhao could tell the men meant no malice, yet he could not gamble his survival on unlikely odds. That was the way to endure the apocalypse. He turned to Yang Li. Since you've made your choice, you may board. Yang Li did not rush up. She turned to the women beside her. Girls, come aboard. One after another, the women stepped onto the yacht, and Yang Li boarded last. She thanked Yao Wenhao, then called out to the men left on shore. Mr. Zhang, Mr. Hu, hold on. I will find a way to come back for you. The men nodded, ready to turn away, until what unfolded before their eyes left every single person speechless. The yacht swelled as if injected with some expanding agent, growing visibly larger by the second. Yang Li and the others screamed in alarm, grabbing the railings for fear of danger. What is happening? Is the boat sinking? Yang Li stared down. The floorboards rippled and shifted, and the rail beneath her hands thickened as it expanded. She stared blankly upward to witness something even more incredible. The yacht was now more than twice its original size. The 2-story vessel continued transforming. The second level expanded drastically, and the framework of a 3rd floor unfurled as if generated by a computer program. Slowly, the 3rd deck solidified, lights flickered on inside, and window glass materialized across its walls. The transformation did not stop. A 4th deck emerged in the same fashion. After roughly 1 minute, the yacht ceased changing. Everyone on the bow stood frozen, eyes wide, jaws hanging open. Some sank onto the deck in shock, others clung tightly to railings, and several clung to one another. Even Yao Wenhao had not anticipated this, and his expression mirrored the rest. Excitement surged through him. The system truly delivers on its promises. When he regained his senses, his consciousness shifted into the system space. The storage area had expanded enormously. Yao Wenhao felt tiny, like a speck of dust within it. The stockpiled supplies that had once seemed plentiful looked minuscule, akin to a single soccer ball abandoned in the corner of a football field. The rebate system had risen from 12 times to 20 times. Every resource he provided for the women aboard would trigger a 20-fold rebate, an endless supply cycle. The exchange system had also upgraded. The range of food expanded, including varieties he had never tasted, alongside wine and spirits. Weapons were now available for exchange, including handguns. Yao Wenhao was elated. He never expected Yang Li's group to trigger such massive upgrades. He needed to bring more women aboard as soon as possible. What just happened? Yao Wenhao pulled himself out of his thoughts at Yang Li's question. He smiled calmly, feigning composure. It's nothing out of the ordinary. No need to panic. Even the seasoned businesswoman could not mask her astonishment. Nothing out of the ordinary? What kind of technology powers this boat? I doubt any nation on Earth possesses such advanced innovation. Others cried out in shock. Did I imagine that? This cannot be real. I must be dreaming. It's no dream. What is going on? Yao Wenhao burned with curiosity to see the newly renovated cabin. He maintained his calm demeanor and addressed Yang Li's group. Come inside if you want to stay dry. With that, he walked into the cabin. Yet when he saw the interior, he was stunned all over again. The compact first deck had transformed into a luxurious lounge. A massive long dining table sat at its center. Hu Ran's family remained shaken by the transformation, seated dumbfounded on the floor. The meal they had prepared looked tiny upon the vast table. Plush leather sofas lined both sides, seating more than 20 people, facing a giant television. There was also a full kitchen, wine cabinet, and even a mahjong table. No one was more shocked than Lu Weiwei. When she first boarded with Yao Wenhao that morning, the vessel had merely been a small wooden boat. In a single day, that tiny craft had evolved into this giant luxury yacht. She was the only witness to the entire progression. If the sharp pain when she pinched her cheek were not proof, she would believe it was all a dream. This yacht can reshape itself, and it's incredibly luxurious. I'd be happy to stay here for the rest of my life. It must be the safest place left in the world. Young man, do you have a partner? If not, what do you think of me? Yao Wenhao kept his expression steady. He waved Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei over. When they reached his side, he smiled. You must be hungry. Let's eat. Still dazed, they nodded numbly and sat down beside him. Yao Wenhao then beckoned Hu Ran's family. You three join us. Hu Ran stared in shock and quickly stood, helping Jiang Qin and her son up. Sir, that isn't proper. Please eat first. We can have whatever leftovers remain afterward. She turned toward Yang Li's group. These ladies haven't eaten either. We'll get more food ready right away. As Hu Ran and Jiang Qin turned toward the kitchen, Yao Wenhao spoke. There's no need. We only prepared enough for us this time. We'll make extra for them at the next meal. I make the rules on this boat. Sit and eat. You've worked hard. Hu Ran and Jiang Qin were astounded. They had never met someone as generous as Yao Wenhao. Reluctantly, they took their seats. While the gesture appeared warm and helped build rapport, Yao Wenhao harbored quiet caution. He wanted to eliminate the risk of being poisoned by sharing the same food, slim though the possibility might be. Yang Li and her companions watched longingly, drawn to the aroma rising from the table. Once he saw Hu Ran's family begin eating, Yao Wenhao stood and faced Yang Li's group. I'm sorry. You arrived unexpectedly, so we have not prepared food for you. As he spoke, he pulled supplies out of his system. Bread, instant noodles, snacks, bottles of mineral water, stacked in a large pile. Help yourselves to these to fill your stomachs. Of course, if you don't like the food, you can cook for yourselves. I can provide rice, vegetables, and other ingredients. The scene once again left the 7 or 8 women who had just boarded the yacht staring in shock. Where on earth had Yao Wenhao gotten all this food just now? Yang Li and the others knew well enough to be grateful. Though they eyed the food on the table hungrily, they were content just to have something to eat. After all, they had not eaten anything for an entire day. Yang Li quickly thanked Yao Wenhao before distributing the food among the group. Yao Wenhao ordered the yacht to set sail once more. He quickly finished his meal and stood up. I'm full. With that, he turned and walked away. Yang Li, Wan Lijia, and Lu Weiwei all watched his retreating figure, each lost in her own thoughts. Yao Wenhao headed to the yacht's second deck first. He wanted to see how much his vessel had evolved. What he saw there took him completely by surprise. It was a full-fledged entertainment hall, equipped with a karaoke room, a gym, and even an arcade. Facilities like these were usually only found aboard top-tier cruise ships. He continued up to the third deck. The entire floor was lined with bedrooms of varying sizes. There were shared rooms large enough for over 10 people, as well as private luxury king suites. The yacht could easily accommodate 100 people. The ship would keep upgrading as more women came aboard, and Yao Wenhao wondered just how far it could evolve. Then there was the fourth deck. The yacht now resembled a pyramid. The topmost level occupied the smallest area, yet it was by far the most luxurious. It housed just one bedroom, furnished to a standard matching the presidential suite of a five-star hotel. The wardrobe was filled with clothes and shoes that seemed tailor-made for Yao Wenhao. The bathroom was enormous, with a massive bathtub nearly the size of a small swimming pool. When Yao Wenhao laid down on the spacious bed, every trace of exhaustion melted away. An intelligent robot was on hand to tidy the room for him. Besides the master bedroom, the fourth deck held another chamber. When Yao Wenhao pushed open the door, he found a vast monitoring room. Every corner of the yacht could be clearly viewed on the screens. Downstairs, the women were sitting together chatting. Though they spoke in hushed tones, every word reached his ears. What kind of advanced technology does this yacht have? It's unbelievable that it can transform like this. I wouldn't believe what I've seen if I hadn't witnessed it myself. And where exactly did Mr. Wenhao pull all that food from? Do you think he might be someone sent from heaven to save humanity? Honestly, if the end of the world really arrives, this ship will be the safest place there is. Yao Wenhao pinched his own cheek hard. The sharp pain confirmed that none of this was a dream. In just 2 days, he had discovered his wife's betrayal, learned that his son was not biologically his, endured the onset of the apocalypse, and awakened a system that could make him a powerful force in this ruined world. After a long while, he headed back downstairs. The women who had been talking fell silent and stood up the moment they saw him. Yao Wenhao gestured for them to sit and relax, then walked slowly toward the bow. He looked out at the raging floodwaters and toward people shouting from rooftops nearby. A faint smile tugged at his lips. Bring on the apocalypse. Night fell, and it was time to rest. Yao Wenhao returned to the main cabin, where all the women remained on the first deck. Why aren't any of you getting some rest? Yao Wenhao asked. Yang Li rose to her feet with an awkward smile. Mr. Wenhao, we were waiting for you to assign us rooms. Yao Wenhao realized they dared not make arrangements without his permission. Still, he could not simply let them pick rooms freely. If they treated the yacht as their own home, managing everyone would become difficult later on. An idea suddenly occurred to him. He already had a capable candidate to oversee the group. Yang Li was a renowned wealthy businesswoman in the city. She commanded a workforce of thousands and ran her enterprise in perfect order, proving she possessed outstanding management skills. If she took charge of the survivors aboard the yacht, Yao Wenhao could set his mind at ease and save himself a great deal of trouble. He turned to Yang Li and spoke in a low voice. Boss Yang, nothing can function without rules. Now that we are all surviving together on this vessel, how about this? While you are aboard, I will entrust all survivors on the yacht to your management. You will oversee supply distribution, accommodation arrangements, daily regulations, rewards, and punishments. Of course, if you find a safe haven and wish to leave to seek your own path, I will not force you to stay. Yang Li's eyes widened in shock. Where could she possibly go? As a wealthy elite, she had access to information ordinary people lacked. She had long known that the endless global rainfall would bring catastrophic ruin to humanity. The true end of the world had arrived. At first, she had only hoped to hitch a ride on Yao Wenhao's yacht to find somewhere safe and extend her chances of survival. But after witnessing the ship's transformations firsthand, new plans had taken shape in her mind. She needed to secure a permanent place on board, so Yao Wenhao would never drive her away. There were 2 ways to achieve that. The first was to become Yao Wenhao's partner. The second was to become an indispensable part of life on the yacht. She was still weighing the first option and had no clear path toward the second. Yet Yao Wenhao had offered her the position of his own accord. Seeing her remain quiet, Yao Wenhao pressed on. Boss Yang, do you decline? Yang Li snapped out of her thoughts and quickly replied. Decline? Never. Rest assured, Mr. Wenhao, if I can manage a corporation with thousands of staff, I can certainly oversee the survivors on this yacht. Leave it to me. Also, there's no need to keep calling me Boss Yang. I'm a few years older than you. If you don't mind, you can call me Sister Li, and I'll call you Wenhao. Yao Wenhao nodded. Very well. The third deck is made up of bedrooms. Take everyone upstairs and sort out their accommodations. Yang Li nodded excitedly and led the group upward. Yao Wenhao failed to notice the unnatural expressions on Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei's faces. They had been the first to follow him and were old acquaintances. Now they were grouped together with everyone else, and resentment stirred within them. Both silently resolved to take important action. When the women reached the second deck, they were stunned by what they saw. Wow, there's even a karaoke room. That's amazing. Come look. A gym stocked with top-tier exercise equipment. There's an arcade over there. We can play games and billiards in our free time. This is incredible. Seeing the group growing restless, Yang Li spoke up quickly. Everyone, now that Wenhao has entrusted management to me, I hope you will listen. This area is for recreation, but we must not use it without his permission. Head upstairs to rest for now. Once I finalize a set of management rules with him, you can enjoy the gym and entertainment facilities." The women fell silent. Those who had come with Yang Li obeyed readily. Wan Lijia and Lu Weiwei said nothing, yet unease and a sense of crisis welled up inside them. Guided by Yang Li, they arrived at the third deck, the sleeping quarters. They had watched this level materialize out of nowhere and were eager to see what the mysterious rooms looked like. When they opened the doors to the bedrooms, astonishment washed over them. Every room, large and small, was exquisitely decorated. If they could not feel the soft beds and comfortable sofas beneath their hands, they would have suspected it was all an illusion. After all, these rooms had appeared out of thin air only moments ago. Yang Li's heart raced. She wondered to herself, who exactly is Yao Wenhao? Could he truly be a divine being sent from heaven to save mankind? When it was time to assign rooms, Yang Li first turned toward Lu Weiwei and Wan Lijia. "You two can have the two largest bedrooms." Lu Weiwei and Wan Lijia stared at her in surprise. Yang Li knew clearly that these two girls had been with Yao Wenhao long before the others boarded, and their status was different from the rest. She understood human relationships well and chose to grant them the best rooms. The pair were satisfied with the arrangement and nodded. "Thank you, Sister Li." Yang Li smiled faintly, then turned to Hu Ran and her family of 3. "You can take this room. It has 2 beds and a private bathroom, convenient for you with your child." Hu Ran and her family were grateful and thanked Yang Li sincerely. At this stage, they were happy just to have a safe place to stay. For the women who had accompanied Yang Li, she arranged 2 people to each room, simple quarters with bunk beds. None of them raised any complaints. Once everyone had accommodation, Yang Li picked a moderately sized bedroom with a private bathroom, sufficient for sleeping and washing. Yao Wenhao walked onto the second deck and heard cheerful voices drifting from each room. He smiled faintly and headed toward the 4th deck, his private quarters. The first day of the apocalypse drew to a close. Night wore on. Yao Wenhao lay on his bed, replaying the whirlwind events of the past 2 days. Everything had happened so suddenly that sleep eluded him. Feeling thirsty, he rose to fetch a bottle of mineral water. Tap, tap, tap. A soft knock echoed at the door. It was quiet, and he first thought it was debris hitting the hall. Just as he reached for the bottle, the knocking came again. Tap, tap, tap. Yao Wenhao walked over to the door. To be cautious, he peered through the peephole. He was surprised to see Wan Lijia standing outside. She wore only light nightwear. The dim light highlighted her figure, and his heart skipped a beat. "Lijia? What is she doing out here dressed like this in the middle of the night?" he muttered to himself. His pulse quickened. His hand hovered over the doorknob, uncertain whether to open up. When Wan Lijia knocked once more and received no answer, she turned away, disappointment etched on her face. At the sight of her leaving, Yao Wenhao's hand moved of its own accord and pulled the door open. He had a strange feeling that he would regret it deeply if he let her go. Wan Lijia spun around at the sound of the opening door. The two stared at each other, frozen in place for a long moment. Yao Wenhao recovered first, feigning surprise. "Lijia, why aren't you asleep? What brings you here so late?" Wan Lijia nodded slightly, her cheeks flushed crimson. Yao Wenhao pulled the door wider. "Come inside and talk." Wan Lijia stepped slowly into the room. Yao Wenhao closed the door behind her. He did not turn on the lights. Only faint light seeped in from outside, outlining her silhouette. The dim atmosphere carried a subtle tension. His throat felt dry. "Lijia, what do you want to discuss?" Wan Lijia looked at him through the darkness, and her voice came out barely audible. "Brother Wenhao, all my clothes got soaked in the heavy rain. I'm extremely uncomfortable. Do you have any spare clothes I could change into?" A flicker of disappointment crossed Yao Wenhao, yet he smiled. "Is that all? I have some. I'll get them right away." He summoned women's clothing from his system space. This was his first time exchanging items. He handed the garments to Wan Lijia. "Here you go. I'm not sure if they'll fit. Try them on, and let me know if you need something else." Wan Lijia accepted the clothes without speaking. Yao Wenhao assumed she would take them and leave, yet what happened next caught him off guard. She set the clothing on a nearby chair and stood facing him. "Brother Wenhao, I have something to tell you. I hope you will hear me out." Yao Wenhao recalled that during the second Great Flood, Wan Lijia had already confessed her feelings for him. Now she was ready to speak openly once again. Yao Wenhao was a man in his prime, still stinging from his wife's betrayal. He could not help but be moved by her sincerity. Wan Lijia took a step toward him and stood close. "Lijia, have you thought this through carefully?" Wan Lijia lowered her voice. "We've known each other for a long time. Haven't you realized how I feel? I fell for you the very first day I joined the company, but you already had a wife back then. Earlier tonight, Lu Weiwei told me everything that happened between you and your wife. She doesn't cherish you, but I will treat you wholeheartedly. Yao Wenhao could not tell how genuine her words were, but it scarcely mattered. He had awakened a system in the apocalypse and owned this endlessly evolving luxury yacht. Fate was granting him a chance to live life on his own terms. He gestured for her to sit beside him on the bed. The air between them grew heavy with unspoken emotion. Wan Lijiao's affection for him was real. She still could not decide whether to pity or rejoice over his misfortune. Setting aside the apocalypse and his extraordinary abilities, if his wife had not betrayed him, she might never have gotten the chance to be close to the man she loved. Now, Yao Wenhao represented her safest shelter in this collapsing world, and she could no longer hold back her feelings. Yao Wenhao soon sensed that Wan Lijia was pouring out all her heart to him. She hoped to stay by his side from now on. She became the first woman to grow close to Yao Wenhao after the apocalypse began. Unbeknownst to her, another woman harbored the exact same hope, Lu Weiwei. Lu Weiwei knew full well that she would have perished at home if she had not chosen to follow Yao Wenhao. Along the journey, she had witnessed Yao Wenhao's extraordinary abilities, as well as this remarkable, evolvable yacht of his. When Wan Lijia boarded the vessel, a sense of crisis crept over her. The arrival of Yang Li and the other women only intensified the feeling that she was gradually being pushed to the sidelines. She could not say she loved Yao Wenhao deeply. Even before the apocalyptic flood, she had held no affection for him at all. Yet she understood clearly, if she wanted to survive this flooded end of the world, she had to rely on this mysterious neighbor. Only by earning a special place beside Yao Wenhao could she secure her position on this yacht. She tossed and turned the entire night, finally steeling herself to take the initiative. The boat was filled with women. Waiting for Yao Wenhao to come to her would likely end in disappointment. So she rose and headed upstairs. At the staircase, she spotted another figure climbing upward. She quietly followed and saw it was Wan Lijia, who walked straight into Yao Wenhao's room. Moments later, sounds drifted out from behind the closed door. Lu Weiwei's legs went weak, warmth spreading across her body. After a long while, she silently retreated to her own cabin. She burned with frustration at being beaten to the chance, yet she refused to give up. If not today, there would be another opportunity. Inside Yao Wenhao's quarters, the two stayed up long into the night, releasing the emotions they had suppressed for ages. As dawn neared, Wan Lijia finally reached her limit. I can't stay awake any longer. I'm so tired. She barely finished speaking before drifting off to sleep. Yao Wenhao did not disturb her. He gently pulled her close, and the two rested in each other's arms. Outside, torrential rain poured relentlessly over the drowned city. Weather like this would normally be perfect for sleep, but these were the end times. Knock, knock, knock. A series of raps on the door jolted Yao Wenhao and Wan Lijia awake. They stared at one another, faces flushing. They had spent the night together in the dark, and now seeing each other clearly in the light filled them with awkwardness. Knock, knock, knock. At the second round of knocking, Yao Wenhao snapped out of his daze. Who's there? Yang Li's voice came from outside. Wenhao, it's me, Yang Li. Yao Wenhao quickly asked. What's the matter? There's a group of survivors begging to come aboard. I didn't dare make the call myself, so I came to ask for your decision. I'll be right down, Yao Wenhao replied. Yang Li acknowledged him and headed downstairs. Awkward silence fell over the room once more. Wan Lijia pulled the quilt tight around herself and stared at the floor without a word. Yao Wenhao glanced around the cabin, noticing scattered clothing left from the previous night. Lijia, survivors are asking to board the yacht. I'm going to check it out. You can rest a little longer if you want. Wan Lijia did not dare meet his eyes and gave a quiet response. Yao Wenhao quickly dressed and left the room. On his way down the corridor, he ran into Lu Weiwei stepping out of her cabin. Lu Weiwei froze for a moment, then greeted him. Good morning, Brother Wenhao. Though she spoke to him, her gaze lingered behind him, expecting Wan Lijia to emerge. Yao Wenhao nodded and continued toward the bow. When he arrived, Yang Li and several other women were already there, facing a noisy crowd. Let us aboard. How can you turn your backs on people in danger? I have connections. Once the flood recedes, you'll regret this. Hurry up and let us on. Please save us. I don't want to die out here. Yao Wenhao walked up to Yang Li. What's going on? Yang Li lowered her voice. They're demanding passage onto the yacht. What should we do? Yao Wenhao looked over the survivors gathered on the rooftops of two submerged buildings. Standing out among them was a man with wire-rimmed glasses, shouting threats that Yao Wenhao would face consequences if he refused to take them in. Yao Wenhao spoke coldly. What is all this commotion about? The man perked up and shifted into a smarmy tone. Friend, this is your yacht, right? Let us aboard. Name your terms. Money. goods, whatever you want. I'll make it happen once the flood goes down. Yao Wenhao sighed inwardly. Another wealthy heir trapped in old-world thinking. Ignoring the man, he whispered to Yang Li. Do you know who he is? That's Song Mingxian, eldest son of the Song group. I've done business with his father before. She leaned closer. Beware of him. He has a terrible reputation. Multiple women have suffered at his hands, yet his father buried every scandal with money. If we take him aboard, trouble is certain to follow. Yao Wenhao nodded. Growing impatient without an answer, Song Mingxuan's smile faded. So, friend, you won't strike a deal with me. I'd advise you to know your place. Do you realize who I am? Before he could finish, Yao Wenhao cut him off. Everyone knows the young heir of the Song group. Song Mingxian blinked, then grinned triumphantly. If you know who I am, you understand the power the Song family holds. Crossing us will bring you nothing but misfortune. My father perished in these floods, so I am the sole heir to everything now. Let me aboard, supply us with food, and once the waters retreat, I'll reward you handsomely. How about this? I'll buy your yacht outright. Yang Li leaned in again to speak quietly. That arrogant heir. Rumor says he's an illegitimate son. He was never meant to inherit. He only got the position after his elder half-brother died unexpectedly. The incident warped his mind. He's always believed his brother stole everything from him. That's why he's obsessed with seizing things that belong to others. He could easily buy a new sports car, yet he prefers bullying owners into selling theirs. Nearly every woman he's been with was taken away from someone else, discarded once he grew bored. A faint smile tugged at Yao Wenhao's lips. Interesting. What's someone like him fear most? Yang Li said coldly. He lives to take what belongs to others. Naturally, he fears having his own possessions stolen. Exactly. Yao Wenhao scanned the group and noticed a pretty girl of 18 or 19 standing behind Song Mingxian among his followers. She was clearly significant to him. Who is that girl beside him? His half-sister, Song Xiaoxiao. Word is, he harbors inappropriate feelings toward her. Yao Wenhao nodded in understanding and turned towards Song Mingxian. Young Master Song, money holds little appeal for me. Do you have anything else you can offer? Song Mingxuan's hopes flared. If he gained control of this yacht, he would escape the floodwaters. Friend, all I have left is wealth. Stop beating around the bush. Name your price for the yacht. Yao Wenhao smiled faintly, his gaze fixed firmly on Song Xiaoxiao behind him. Very well. I'll be direct. I've taken an interest in the young woman behind you. Hand her over to stay with me, and this yacht is yours. Everyone except Yang Li stared in shock. Yang Li saw Yao Wenhao's plan clearly. Song Mingxian loved stealing others' treasures, and today Yao Wenhao intended to take his sister right out from under him. Song Xiaoxiao flushed with rage upon hearing the demand. She tugged Song Mingxuan's sleeve. Brother, you can't agree to this. After a tense pause, Song Mingxian glowered at Yao Wenhao. She's my sister. I can't let her. Before he could finish, Yao Wenhao spoke. Then there is no deal. Excuse me. He turned as if to leave. Wait. Yao Wenhao looked back. Is there something else, young Master Song? Rage burned in Song Mingxuan's eyes, though he forced himself to stay calm. I warn you to think carefully. You cannot fathom what happens to those who cross the Song family. I can offer you plenty of women. Let us board, and I'll arrange 10 beauties for you. What do you say? Yao Wenhao's smile vanished. You aren't listening. I want no other women, only your sister. Besides, do you think I lack female company? Take a good look at the woman beside me. Yang Li hesitated for a second before catching on and playing along. She stepped to Yao Wenhao's side and leaned against him, wearing a charming expression. Young Master Song, it's been a while. Song Mingxian studied her intently. Heavy rain had obscured her features earlier. Now, sheltered under an umbrella, he recognized the wealthy businesswoman he had long coveted. Yang Li. Yang Li's lips curved into an alluring smile. What an honor, young Master Song. I didn't expect you to remember me. Shock gave way to greedy longing in Song Mingxuan's eyes. He refocused on Yao Wenhao. 20 women. Once the flood recedes, I'll bring you 20 celebrities. That should satisfy you. Yao Wenhao shook his head. I told you, I only want her. He pointed straight at Song Xiaoxiao. Song Xiaoxiao panicked. Brother, I refuse. Quiet. I'll decide what happens. Silenced by his sharp rebuke, Song Xiaoxiao stood frozen. She knew her half-brother harbored twisted desires toward her. She longed to escape his grasp, yet boarding the yacht felt like walking into a trap. Staying beside her warped brother, at least for now, meant he would not cross the final ethical line. It seemed safer than surrendering herself to a stranger on the boat. Song Mingxian fell deep into thought. Trading Song Xiaoxiao for a safe, yet would save his life. Once aboard, he could also get close to Yang Li, the woman he had desired for years. It seemed like a win on all fronts. He just needed to find a way to keep Song Xiaoxiao out of Yao Wenhao's reach. An idea struck him. He whispered an order to one of his men, who immediately turned away. Then he leaned toward Song Xiaoxiao. Sister, don't worry. Go aboard first. I'll send Yuan Xiao with you to watch over you. She'll keep you safe. This man won't dare harm you. Only if we seize this yacht can we survive the disaster. Song Xiaoxiao remained silent. She knew exactly how capable Yuan Xiao was. Yao Wenhao was growing impatient, ready to speak again, when a woman stepped forward from behind Song Mingxian. Yao Wenhao's eyes lit up. She wore a tight leather bodysuit that accentuated her flawless figure. Her looks rivaled any woman on the yacht, and she carried an innate, captivating aura. Most men would instantly be drawn to her. Before Yao Wenhao could say anything, Yang Li leaned in. Wenhao, be careful. She's dangerous. The Song family hired her as an assassin with formidable combat skills. Song Mingxian plans to take the yacht by force. Yao Wenhao chuckled. An assassin? Interesting. Even assassins need food, don't they? Yang Li looked confused but nodded. Of course. No one can survive without supplies. Yao Wenhao raised his voice towards Song Mingxian. Well, young Master Song, have you made up your mind? Song Mingxian seethed. No one had dared treat him with such disrespect since he gained status. Just wait until I'm on board. I'll throw this man into the flood to drown, he thought. Still, he maintained a superficial smile. I accept your terms. As a gesture of goodwill, I'll send another woman along to keep you company. Excellent. Thank you, young Master Song. Yao Wenhao replied. Song Mingxian walked over to Yuan Xia and spoke loud enough for all to hear. Yuan Xia, make sure you attend to my friend properly. Do you understand? Then he turned and murmured in her ear. Once you board, take control of him at once. Name your reward once the job is done. Yuan Xia said nothing. Yao Wenhao lowered the boarding ramp. Send them over, young Master Song. Song Mingxian gestured toward Song Xiaoxiao and Yuan Xia. Song Xiaoxiao hesitated, but she walked to the ramp and climbed upward. Yuan Xia followed close behind. The moment the two stepped onto the yacht, Yao Wenhao retracted the ramp. A wild glint flashed in Song Mingxuan's eyes. If Yuan Xia succeeded, everything on this vessel would belong to him. As soon as she boarded, Yuan Xia searched for an opening to subdue Yao Wenhao. Yet his gaze never left her. Assassins only struck when victory was guaranteed, ingrained instinct holding her back. She waited for a perfect chance that never came. Song Xiaoxiao trembled behind Yuan Xia and whispered, Sister Yuan Xia, please protect me. I'm terrified. Yuan Xia did not respond. Yang Li spoke first. You need not fear, Xiaoxiao. Mr. Yao will not hurt you. Song Xiaoxiao stared at her in surprise. She had met Yang Li at countless banquets. She admired Yang Li deeply for her powerful aura and the empire she built single-handedly in business. Yang Li was her idol. Sister Yang Li, don't be fooled. He's only trying to take advantage of me. Why else demand I come aboard to stay with him? Yang Li smiled gently. Silly girl. Mr. Yao is offering you a chance to escape your brother's clutches. Everyone knows what Song Mingxian wants from you. You face greater danger beside him. When your father lived, he might have held back. But you heard him say your father drowned in the floods. There is no one left to restrain him. Sooner or later, he will act on his twisted impulses. Can you bear to stay with that monster? Song Xiaoxiao fell silent, shuddering. Every word rang true. Yao Wenhao turned toward Yuan Xia. I hear you're an assassin. A dagger slid into Yuan Xia's palm from her sleeve. There's no need for hostility, Yao Wenhao said calmly. I wouldn't have let you board if I couldn't handle you. Think about this. Even assassins need food. This is the end of the world. Song Mingxian can only offer you money, but currency is worthless now. What can it buy? I can offer steady safety and endless supplies. If you believe the flood will recede soon, or that you can survive starvation until then, you are welcome to make your move. A faint trace of emotion finally crossed Yuan Xia's usually unruffled face. To convince her further, Yao Wenhao pulled out some food directly from his personal storage space with his bare hands. An action clearly witnessed by both Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao. The two women's eyes widened in shock. They glanced at each other in stunned silence. Yao Wenhao smiled faintly. This is my ability. I have an endless supply of food, and this yacht is currently the safest shelter around. It is up to you two to make your own choice. After a long pause, Yuan Xia broke the silence. Can you truly guarantee our safety and a steady supply of food? Yao Wenhao offered no verbal reply, only a calm, knowing smile. At that moment, Song Mingxian grew impatient out in the corridor. He called out tentatively, Yuan Xia, Xiaoxiao, are you all right in there? Yao Wenhao strolled over to the bow of the ship. Song Mingxian froze the second he saw Yao Wenhao unharmed. Yet he quickly masked his shock with a practiced, amiable grin. Brother, I've sent my sister over to you, along with another beautiful woman. Don't you think you ought to uphold our original agreement now? Yao Wenhao let out a soft laugh. Master Song, my apologies. This yacht is far too modest to accommodate a distinguished figure like yourself. Our deal is off. Damn you. Song Mingxian cursed under his breath, yet he knew staying stranded amid the floodwaters meant certain death. He forced himself to swallow his anger and plead for mercy. Brother, that is hardly fair. We had a clear understanding. Once you grow close to my sister, we become family. How could you bear to watch your own brother-in-law drown in this flood? Yao Wenhao chuckled. That is none of my concern. Farewell, brother-in-law. We have matters to attend to and must set off now. Rage blazed across Song Mingxuan's face, his eyes burning with fury. You dare toy with me? Yao Wenhao kept his teasing grin intact. Whatever would give you that idea. If you wish, I can send them ashore right now to stay by your side, and we can completely scrap our arrangement. Would that suit you better? He then turned toward Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao. Ladies, you are free to disembark and rejoin Master Song, or remain aboard this vessel. I will not detain you against your will if you choose to leave at this moment. Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao fell into wordless silence, and their quiet hesitation spoke volumes about their decision to stay. Satisfied with their response, Yao Wenhao turned back to Song Mingxian, who seethed like a volcano on the verge of erupting. I'm afraid they have no intention of going with you, Master Song. Song Mingxian was stunned, his anger flaring even more violently as he shouted toward the yacht. Xiao Xiao, Yuan Xia, answer me right now. No reply came from the two women. Growing frantic, he fixed his glare on Yao Wenhao. Did you lock them up? Give my sister back to me. Just then, Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao walked forward to the bow. Hope flickered across Song Mingxuan's features instantly. Xiao Xiao, Yuan Xia, are you unhurt? As he spoke, he shot urgent, pleading gestures toward Yuan Xia. Yuan Xia met his gaze with icy indifference. Master Song, our employment contract is terminated effective immediately. I am no longer obligated to follow your orders. Song Mingxian stood rooted to the spot in shock. Song Xiaoxiao spoke up next. Song Mingxian, I'm staying on this yacht. You'd better fend for yourself from now on. The news struck Song Mingxian like a heavy blow, his mind ringing with stunned numbness. He had plotted to send the two women onto the yacht to take control of Yao Wenhao and seize everything for himself. Instead, he had made a fool of himself, losing both his aide and his sister for nothing. How dare you betray me? What kind of benefits has this man given you to turn against me like this? Xiao Xiao, I am your own brother. How could you do this to me? Before Song Mingxian could finish his furious rant, Song Xiaoxiao cut him off sharply. Do you still remember you are my brother? When have you ever treated me like family? You are a cruel, heartless person, who would sacrifice even his own flesh and blood for your own gain. Tears welled up in Song Xiaoxiao's eyes as she finished speaking. I never want to lay eyes on you again. Leave us alone. Song Mingxuan's mind went completely blank. Yao Wenhao stepped forward with a calm smile. My sincerest apologies, Master Song. They chose of their own free will to stay aboard, so I bear no responsibility for this outcome. We have pressing plans ahead, so we shall take our leave. He instructed the ship's automated system to navigate the yacht away from the scene. Watching the yacht pull steadily into the distance, Song Mingxian could no longer contain his towering rage. I will get revenge for this humiliation. I swear I will kill you. And you two ungrateful women, mark my words. You will pay dearly for this betrayal. Yet as the yacht shrank farther away, he clung desperately to his last shot at survival. Come back. I'll hand over the entire Song family fortune in exchange for a spot on your boat. Yao Wenhao ignored the desperate shouts echoing from behind him. He was about to speak when an incredible transformation took place on the moving yacht. A retractable, transparent glass canopy unfolded over the open bow deck, shielding everyone on board from the pouring rain. Thanks to this new structure, the passengers were no longer confined to the cramped cabin. They could step outside to breathe fresh open air whenever they pleased. A brand new private bedroom was also added to the yacht's third deck, a subtle change barely noticeable amid the vessel's massive frame. Before Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao could recover from their shock, Yao Wenhao retrieved large quantities of fresh vegetables and meat from his storage space. He turned to Yang Li. Sister Li, send these ingredients to the galley for Hu Ran and the other cooks to prepare a meal. Anyone who knows their way around a kitchen is welcome to lend a hand. Even for breakfast, we ought to enjoy a hearty feast. Good food is the greatest comfort amid the end of the world. Still stunned by what she had witnessed, Yang Li nodded quickly. Understood, I'll deliver these right away. Yang Li and the other women who had boarded the yacht carried the provisions toward the kitchen. At the same time, a system notification chimed inside Yao Wenhao's mind. alerting him to his boosted rebate multiplier, which had now risen to 20 times the original value. Ding. Detected host consuming 2 heads of cabbage for the female survivors aboard. Rebate multiplier activated times 20. Reward, 20 heads of cabbage deposited into storage. Detected host consuming 2 liters of rice for the female survivors aboard. Rebate multiplier activated times 20. Reward, 40 liters of rice deposited into storage. Detected host consuming 5 gene of pork for the female survivors aboard. Rebate multiplier activated times 20. Reward, 100 gene of pork deposited into storage. After checking the newly replenished supplies within his system storage, Yao Wenhao was once again amazed by the power of his rebate system. The supplies multiplied endlessly with every expenditure. 2 items became 20, and 20 items bloomed into an infinite stockpile. As long as he sheltered more female survivors, his yacht would continuously upgrade and grow stronger. Meanwhile, his stock of daily necessities would never run dry, sustained permanently by the system rebates. When he refocused his attention on the real world, Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao still stared at him with unmasked astonishment. Fear lingered on Song Xiaoxiao's face, worried that Yao Wenhao might have ulterior motives for offering them shelter. Yao Wenhao sighed helplessly. Miss Song, you are undeniably beautiful and charming, but I am not the type to take advantage of vulnerable people in desperate circumstances. There is no need to regard me with such wary suspicion. Your brother acted arrogantly, convinced his wealth could buy anything he desired. I also learned of his selfish and unethical conduct toward those around him. I only extended my help to pull you out of his harmful control. Song Xiaoxiao's cheeks flushed pink, fixated entirely on his compliment about her appearance and tuning out the rest of his explanation. He thinks I am beautiful and lovely. He has good taste. Before Song Xiaoxiao could respond, Yuan Xia voiced her lingering question. Mr. Yao, about the food you produced just now. Yao Wenhao smiled serenely. Trust what your own eyes have shown you. My powers can keep you safe and fed for the duration of this apocalypse. Also, this protective canopy did not exist before you boarded the ship. You will likely find this hard to believe, but this luxurious yacht originally evolved from a tiny wooden raft. His revelation left the 2 women utterly dumbfounded. A soft smile finally tugged at the corners of the ice, maiden Yuan Xia's lips. You certainly have a way with words, Mr. Yao. But given your proven ability to keep us safe in this ruined world, we are willing to place our trust in you. I give you my word. I will safeguard your safety from this moment until the crisis ends. I will do everything within my power to shield you from harm. This was exactly the reassurance Yao Wenhao had hoped to hear. Then shall we formalize our working partnership starting this instant? Yuan Xia nodded firmly in agreement. Their arrangement was settled. Yao Wenhao had not yet witnessed Yuan Xia's combat skills, yet the fact that the powerful Song family had sought her services, and even the wealthy businesswoman Yang Li treated her with cautious respect, spoke volumes about her capabilities. More survivors, including male refugees, would inevitably seek refuge on his yacht in the days ahead. With a seasoned fighter like Yuan Xia on his side, he would gain an extra layer of personal protection against unknown threats. There is no need to stand out here exposed. Head inside for a meal first. The second deck is fitted as a recreation lounge, and private bedrooms are located on the 3rd floor. I will ask Yang Li to assign rooms for the 2 of you. Shortly afterward, plates of steaming, home-cooked dishes were brought out to the dining area. Those simple home-style meals, every person on board stared fixedly at the spread of food. The catastrophic flood had only struck 2 days prior. Over those 2 brutal days, Yang Li's group, alongside the newly arrived Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao, had not eaten so much as a single piece of bread, tormented by gnawing hunger for days on end. Yao Wenhao walked into the dining cabin and took his seat at the head of the table. Seeing everyone frozen in place, he gestured for them to sit. Please, help yourselves to the food. There is no need to stand on ceremony. The survivors hesitantly took their seats one by one. At that moment, Wan Lijia descended the stairs after tidying up her living quarters. Her gaze immediately locked onto Yao Wenhao. Lijia, come and join us for dinner, Yao Wenhao called out warmly. Wan Lijia grew flustered, memories of the previous night weighing heavily on her mind. She was overcome with awkwardness, feeling as though she had acted inappropriately the night before. She avoided meeting his eyes and quickly looked away. Yang Li noticed the faint blush dusting Wan Lijia's cheeks and smiled teasingly. Lijia dear, are you feeling unwell? Your face is quite flushed. Wan Lijia waved her hands in a panic. I'm perfectly fine. I just didn't get much rest last night. She realized her awkward wording the moment the words left her mouth and darted a nervous glance toward Yao Wenhao, scrambling to correct herself. Lu Weiwei cut in before she could speak further, stepping in to ease her embarrassment. Enough fussing, Li Jia. Hurry and sit down to eat. Everyone has been waiting for you. Lu Weiwei was aware of what had transpired the previous night and was intentionally defusing the uncomfortable tension for Wan Lijia. Wan Lijia hurried over to the table and sat down. The group finally picked up their chopsticks and began eating. I never imagined I would get to eat such wonderful food in this disaster. Your cooking is absolutely incredible, Aunt Jiang. Thank you so much. Jiang Qin smiled modestly. I don't deserve the praise. None of this would be possible without Wenhao supplying all these ingredients. All thanks go to him. The rest of the diners echoed her gratitude. Relaxation washed over Yuan Xia and Song Xiaoxiao as they watched the warm, harmonious atmosphere among the group, their built-up tension slowly fading away. They began to suspect Yao Wenhao was far more trustworthy than their initial impression had suggested. Overcome with starvation, they began eating ravenously. Yao Wenhao watched their desperate eagerness with a quiet smile and said nothing. Outside the yacht, desperate cries echoed from the flooded cityscape. People on the yacht, please let us board. I can pay you handsomely. Have mercy on us. We don't want to drown out here. I'll sign over ownership of an entire high-rise building in exchange for a spot on your vessel. Everyone inside the cabin ignored the pleas from outside, focused entirely on their warm meal. Once dinner concluded, Yao Wenhao headed alone to the bow. He dragged a chair over, pulled a bottle of Coke from his storage space, and sipped the drink as he stared out at the city swallowed by floodwaters. His yacht navigated through the submerged streets of the former metropolis. Countless survivors huddled atop the rooftops of flooded buildings, clinging to a slow, inevitable death. A soft voice sounded beside him shortly afterward. Wenhao. Yao Wenhao turned to find Yang Li standing behind him, her expression calm and neutral. He smiled and patted the empty seat beside him. Take a seat, Sister Yang. Once she sat down, Yao Wenhao retrieved a second bottle of Coke and handed it to her. Surprise flickered across Yang Li's face, then a soft smile curved her lips. She had never cared for carbonated drinks in her former life of wealth and comfort, yet such luxuries were now nearly impossible to come by in the flooded wasteland. She twisted open the cap and took a slow sip. Yao Wenhao lowered his voice. You came to talk about something, didn't you? Yang Li nodded. Yao Wenhao gestured toward the stranded survivors crowding the surrounding rooftops. It's about those people out there, isn't it? Yang Li blinked in surprise before confirming his guess. Yes. If my assumption is correct, your yacht upgrades whenever new women come aboard your ship. Yao Wenhao was genuinely taken aback by her sharp deduction. It was no surprise she had built a successful corporate empire over decades. Her intellect was exceptionally keen. He saw no point in hiding the truth any longer. The pattern would become obvious to everyone eventually. He nodded in confirmation. You figured it out correctly. Even with her prior suspicion validated by his admission, Yang Li felt a jolt of disbelief. Such an ability was far beyond anything depicted in movies, something she would never accept without witnessing it firsthand. What is the maximum size this yacht can evolve into? Yao Wenhao shook his head. Even I do not know the upper limit. I am certain it can expand into a massive luxury cruise ship capable of holding thousands, even tens of thousands of people. Yang Li leaned forward in visible excitement upon hearing this. Truly? Yao Wenhao was startled by her sudden reaction. It is the truth. She pointed toward the desperate survivors on the rooftops surrounding them. If that is the case, why not rescue these people? There are countless women among the stranded refugees out here. Yao Wenhao withheld one critical detail of his system requirement. Female survivors alone were not enough. Only exceptionally beautiful women could trigger the yacht's upgrades. He stood upright and faced Yang Li directly. I will be fully transparent with you since you wish to understand the full truth. First, I must strictly limit the number of passengers on board until I can fully maintain order and security over everyone aboard. Second, a sudden flood of desperate survivors would plunge this safe haven into total chaos. Even female refugees can bring conflict and danger just as easily as men. Third, the yacht only receives upgrade boosts when outstanding women such as yourself join us. Yang Li's cheeks flushed at his compliment, yet she wholeheartedly agreed with his reasoning. She pondered quietly for a moment before lifting her head to speak. If that is the case, I may be able to help you recruit more people. Yao Wenhao perked up with curiosity. Oh, what plan do you have in mind? Yang Li smiled confidently and tapped her chest. I have built an extensive social network during my years in business, including connections with many well-known women and celebrities. Have you heard of Li Yitong? Yao Wenhao had led an ordinary, monotonous 9-to-5 working life before the apocalypse with no interest in celebrity culture, Yet the name immediately brought the image of a warm, bright-eyed actress to mind. Her gentle smile always carried a soothing, comforting quality, paired with a pair of wonderfully lively eyes. Of course I know her. What about her? Yang Li grinned at his reply. She is a close longtime friend of mine. She lives within this city, so there is a good chance she is still safe for the time being. Yao Wenhao felt a surge of excitement at the thought of having a couple of female celebrities board his yacht. Still, he knew Yang Li's offer was far more substantial than simply bringing a celebrity aboard, a trivial favor that would hardly make a real difference. He turned toward Yang Li and spoke up. Sister Yang, the entire global power grid and internet collapsed ages ago. You can't get in touch with her at all. How can you be certain she hasn't run into danger? Besides, this favor you're offering must amount to more than just fetching that celebrity onto our yacht, right? Yang Li smiled. You're absolutely right. Just getting her on board wouldn't count as meaningful help. The upscale residential complex where Yitong lives is famous across the city. Its residents include celebrities like her and countless attractive young women. Even the older female residents there are remarkably good-looking. I'm sure you can figure out why such a community exists. Yao Wenhao had already pieced together the truth. Properties in such an exclusive neighborhood were owned by celebrities or wealthy entrepreneurs. Those privileged women living there maintained comfortable lives with housing, vehicles, and steady income without needing formal careers, supported by these affluent business owners. You mean, I've been inside that community before? Yang Li cut in. The number of beautiful women there will far exceed anything you can imagine. Before Yao Wenhao could reply, she added, there are plenty more locations packed with outstanding women besides this residential compound. How about we check all of them out? Yao Wenhao stood up without the slightest hesitation. We're definitely going. Send me the coordinates, and we'll head out immediately. Yang Li was about to respond when Yao Wenhao lifted his gaze and spotted a familiar high-rise building dead ahead. Hold on a second. Yang Li stared at him in confusion. What's wrong? Yao Wenhao lowered his voice. Two of my closest friends run a gym in that building over there. Let's swing by first and hope they're still alive. Yang Li nodded in agreement. As the yacht drifted closer to the shore, pale, gaunt faces poked out from the windows on the top floors of every high-rise along the waterfront. Upon spotting Yao Wenhao's vessel, the stranded survivors shouted with every last ounce of strength they had left. People on the boat, save us. Is this an official rescue ship? Let us climb aboard. I'm starving to the point of blacking out. Sir, please take us with you. Yao Wenhao paid no heed to the desperate pleas, his eyes fixed firmly on the target building as he anxiously searched for the two familiar faces. As the yacht drew nearer, there was no sign of his friends anywhere on the structure, and his expression darkened, fearing the worst had befallen them. Just then, a voice called out to him. Yao Wenhao. Yao Wenhao snapped his head upward. A figure was pounding frantically against the glass on the top floor window, while another person stretched their head out into the open air. Is that really you, Wenhao? A wave of elation washed over Yao Wenhao. These two men were his college roommates and most trusted brothers, Ma Xiaolong and Jiang Hao. The pair had opened a fitness gym together after graduation, united by their shared passion for working out. The three friends would often gather for drinks in their free time, reminiscing about their college years. Shortly after graduating, Jiang Hao lost both of his parents in quick succession. Ma Xiaolong and Yao Wenhao had pooled money from every available source to cover all the funeral expenses for him. Their bond had been unbreakable ever since. When they confirmed the man on the yacht was truly Yao Wenhao, Ma Xiaolong and Jiang Hao were overcome with joy. Wenhao, it really is you. Thank goodness you survived. We were actually planning to find a boat to come look for you. Ma Xiaolong yelled across the water. Yao Wenhao waved them over. Get down here first. We can talk properly on the boat. Ma Xiaolong and Jiang Hao rushed downstairs without delay. They waded through waist-deep floodwater until they reached the same elevation as the yacht, looking thoroughly bedraggled. Excitement was plain to see on their faces once they drew near. You idiot, we've been worrying sick about you, and here you are safe and sound. Seriously, I thought you would have kicked the bucket by now. Who would tease me if you were gone? Yao Wenhao chuckled. I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. If I'd passed away before you too, I can only imagine all the gossip you'd spread about me behind my back. Right after he finished speaking, a crowd trailed out from behind Ma Xiaolong and Jiang Hao. The group consisted of former gym members trapped alongside them when the apocalypse struck. The men all possessed athletic, well-toned physiques, while the women varied in facial appearance yet all had fit, proportionate figures. Ma Xiaolong glanced at the massive yacht beside them and turned to Yao Wenhao. Quit the banter for now. Who owns this luxury boat? Put in a good word for us if you can. We won't last much longer stuck out here in these flooded conditions. Jiang Hao quickly chimed in. Please help us out, Wenhao. If the owner refuses to take us in, we won't hold it against you or put you in an awkward spot. This was what true brotherhood looked like. Staring at his two friends and the group of physically capable survivors behind them, a bold plan took shape in Yao Wenhao's mind. Climb aboard first, he told Ma Xiaolong and Zhang Hao. The yacht sat level with the floodwater, so Yao Wenhao could pull them on board without lowering the gangplank. He stretched out his hands toward them, yet the two men hesitated to reach back. What's the holdup? Yao Wenhao asked in confusion. Zhang Hao answered him. You ought to check with the boat's owner first. If you bring us aboard on your own initiative and they get upset, you might get thrown off the yacht too. It's not worth the risk for us. Yao Wenhao felt touched and slightly exasperated at the same time. It's fine, just get on board. I've already cleared it with the owner. They've given their consent. Relief flooded their faces instantly. Really? Yao Wenhao nodded. Would I lie? Hurry up, or I'll sail off and leave you here. The two men grabbed his hands and hauled themselves onto the yacht in an instant. They immediately noticed Yang Li standing behind Yao Wenhao and quickly recognized her identity, the city's wealthiest female entrepreneur. Convinced the yacht belonged to Yang Li, they hurried over and bowed deeply toward her. Ms. Yang, we are endlessly grateful for you rescuing us. We will never forget this life-saving favor. Indeed, Ms. Yang, issue any orders you see fit, and we will go through fire and water to carry them out. Their abrupt display of gratitude caught Yang Li off guard. She shot an awkward glance at Yao Wenhao before addressing the two men. Gentlemen, there's been a misunderstanding. This yacht isn't mine. It belongs to your good friend Wenhao.